Welcome to the first episode of the Travis DuFour Show. Episode 1 being From Fandom to Backyard Wrestling. We are here to talk about it. Introducing my co-host, Mike Yatsko.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
Dude, welcome in.
Can't believe we're finally doing this.
It's been a long time coming, and you promised me earlier today that you were going to do a different intro.
Dig it, daddy. Is that better?
Yeah, baby. We're in it. So, Travis DuFour Show, episode 1. This is a 12-episode series airing on twitch.tv/the DuFour brand. And so this is going to be a 12-episode thing. We're going to see how it goes. And
listener discretion is advised.
It is. Listener discretion is advised.
But you can hear me okay, right, man?
Yo, yeah, I hear you perfect.
Just can't hear myself at all, but that's okay. All right, that's a little better. A little issue on my end that it didn't happen right beforehand, but I'm good now. I can hear myself.
Man, it had to start somewhere. It had to start somehow.
Dude, it's been 10 plus years.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, what age were you, do you think, whenever you first really got the concept of pro wrestling?
Pro wrestling? I got started much later than a lot of the people that I know, a lot of my friends. I didn't get started till right after the Attitude Era ended. So, Stone Cold, The Rock, all those guys were pretty much finished up by the time I was getting into it, or they were on their way out at the very least. Brock Lesnar was making his debut. So I just caught it right as it was still WWF, but they were just about to, get the F out.
Yeah, I'm not a big stickler on eras. I don't hold a certain era above another one.
Everyone loves the Attitude Era. That's why I was.
Oh, for sure. And, and being a huge raving fan during the Attitude Era, and being at a young age was great. But what I was saying is that like 80s, 90s, the 2000s wrestling, I'm not so much of a fan of the last 10 years or so. I really stopped watching wrestling, but there's multiple eras of wrestling that are highly watchable. I happen to grow up in the 90s.
I grew up in the 90s too. We both did. But you just watched wrestling much earlier than I did. Well, so when did you get started? How did you first learn about wrestling? Who was on the TV at that time? What was going on?
Well, I had to have been about 3 or 4 years old. And my dad, he had a habit of putting wrestling on the TV as much as possible around his boys. I grew up with an older brother, and he just always made sure wrestling was on. And finally, it caught my eye. And on the television screen, there was Nails walking down to the ring. And now, you being kind of like a historian to pro wrestling now, knowing more about the old days, do you remember Nails?
I know of Nails. I don't really remember him. Like I've never seen a Nails match.
Okay,
but I know who he is when you're talking about him.
I think that most people haven't seen a Nails.
He was a large guy. He was a overweight wrestler, right?
Giant. I wouldn't say that he was an overweight guy, but he was kind of like an Undertaker, like a super tall guy.
Then I'm thinking of somebody entirely different. I don't know who I'm thinking of, but
this guy was in a prison jumpsuit.
Okay, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
I was about to say that would probably ring a bell better than anything whenever it comes to Nails. But he was taking on the Undertaker. So it was 1994, and the Undertaker, I guess he debuted in 1990?
Yeah, around there.
So I got to see the 1994 version of the Undertaker, and that version sucked me in, man. I couldn't believe there was a dead guy in the ring.
Now, as a young kid, did you buy into it? Did you actually think this guy was dead?
Oh, all day. He definitely scared me. I was, 4 years old, very gullible kid. But shoot. And around this time too, the video games were hot in 1994. If you had a Super Nintendo or anything like that, so we were going to the Blockbuster, and which I'm not sure if it was a Blockbuster, but one of those like mom and pop video stores that you get the VHS tapes from. Well, this place had video games too, and I remember getting the old WrestleMania game on the Super Nintendo and just playing the hell out of that with my older brother. Did you play a lot of those games?
I played my first exposure to like video games was Super Nintendo and Sega. Like those were my first. Well, I guess we played Atari too, but that was my mom's game or whatever. So we played a little bit of Atari, like the Pong, of course, a classic. But Super Nintendo, like with Donkey Kong and all those, that's when we really got into it. Super Mario Bros.
The first Christmas I really remember, we got a Super Nintendo that year, and I remember Super Mario World blowing my mind.
It was huge. I loved all of them, all the ones up until like the GameCube version. I wasn't really. That's when I kind of lost interest.
No, I've actually recently gotten back into Mario, but that just comes along with having a 4-year-old. But yeah, but essentially that's how it started. Nails versus The Undertaker. After that, it was game on, man. I was playing the video games. I was, me and my older brother, we thought it was cool that, we would play wrestle and he would be Bret Hart and I would be Owen Hart, the older brother versus the little brother mentality. So those matches, the Bret Hart versus Owen Hart matches really sucked me in. Now, have you seen a lot of Owen Hart stuff?
I've seen the only thing I've really seen of his, unfortunately, is a lot of the stuff relating to his like fall. Like, I never really watched his matches. I wasn't. No, I know I didn't mean to make it all dark. I just was really fascinated with how he died. So I remember trying to look up, not trying to be morbid, but I was trying to like find a video of it actually happening, just because that kind of stuff has always fascinated me. And I was never a fan. Or not that I wouldn't have been a fan. I just wasn't a fan at that time. And so I've never really seen any Owen matches.
Man, whenever Owen died,
but the tragedy, the tragedy of how it all went down, though, just like is so heartbreaking.
Quick sidebar. I remember playing Little League, and I was on my way to practice, and I made it to practice, and all of the other kids on the baseball team, they knew I was like this hardcore wrestling fan. And everybody got really quiet whenever I showed up on the baseball field that day. And like the coach had to pull me off to the side and be like, because I think I was like 8 or 9 whenever that happened. But no, I mean, I had to been a little bit older than that. But yeah, dude, Owen Hart, he was my favorite whenever I was a little kid. He was my first favorite wrestler.
Really?
Oh,
so it wasn't Nails? Nails wasn't your inspiration?
Nails, there's a reason why that guy didn't do much after Nails. So, and there's a reason why The Undertaker did.
Well, for the people watching us live right now, I'm going to be disconnecting my cam for a second while I fix an issue that I'm noticing that's bugging me. But for the people listening, nothing's going to change really. But so you were watching this Nails and Undertaker match. And like, tell me what's going through your head. Like, you're seeing this guy, The Undertaker. Is he a scary dude? And also tell me a little bit about like the dynamic with your dad, because you said he got you into wrestling. So was he a wrestling fan first, or how did that work?
I would say so. Yeah, he was really big in like Razor Ramon, and I remember him being a big Razor Ramon fan, which was kind of eerie because I kind of whenever I was really little, I looked at my dad one time and I was like, "Damn, is that Razor Ramon?" And I thought for a very short period of time that my dad was Razor Ramon.
He could have been.
What's that?
Guy? He could have been, maybe.
My dad was a pretty in shape guy. He was a Marine, or as they would say, is a Marine. You should never tell a Marine that they was a Marine because they'll correct you so fast. But yeah, my dad was,
So was he more strict because of that, because of his military status, or
not at all? Not at all. He was a hippie. He got to be a teenager in the late 60s, early 70s, and he really partied it up. And There's a big section later on in the show about my dad. But what I will say about him at this period is that everything was great.
That's
He,
good.
yeah, he made it a point to go and get us the wrestling tapes, the old Royal Rumbles, the old WrestleManias, because he knew he could tell at a young age that it was striking a fire in me.
So is that how you were able to watch wrestling then? It was just through the tapes mostly? Because was there like a live wrestling show at that time? Monday Night Raw was what, 93? Were you watching Raw then? Do you remember? What, it was 93, right? The Raw debuted. Am I remembering? I forget which year.
I think Raw debuted in 94, but no, yeah, it was a lot of VHS tape watching. I remember I had like Survivor Series 91 where the main event was like Hulk Hogan versus the Earthquake, and the only other tape was like a SummerSlam 90, which had I believe that year was the Texas Tornado versus Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title, which a lot of people hail as one of the greatest Intercontinental title matches of all time. I've seen that match maybe 100 times.
That's funny because my grandpa, who's sadly no longer with us, but he actually, right when I started becoming a fan, he heard about it and he would get WrestleMania tapes because we didn't really do the pay-per-views or anything early on. I would get pay-per-views like later, as I grew older. But he would bring back the WrestleMania tapes. So I remember WrestleMania 18 might have been the first tape he got me, and then it was Backlash. And now these were tapes that somebody like bootlegged the pay-per-view, so the quality wasn't even that good. It was like all pixelated, but it was still just so cool to see all these like characters that looked so larger than life. Like I'm seeing all these characters for the first time, like Hulk Hogan and all these guys, Scott Hall and Steve Austin, and it just
No,
looks so
the
damn
big
cool.
thing about those tapes though is the crowd reaction.
Oh yeah, yeah. I loved it. I mean, the quality might not have been great, but I have fond memories of watching wrestling on videotapes.
Yeah, if you watch wrestling now, you don't really see them pan to the crowd too often,
No.
as compared to how they used to do in the 80s and 90s.
And going back to what you were saying about, I don't know if you said Blockbuster or what have you, but I loved going and renting wrestling biographies. Dude, videotapes are so cool. I'm so upset that that stuff doesn't really exist anymore, where you can't go rent stuff. Now it's all digital. But we used to go through the aisle and see what the latest wrestling pay per view or biography was, and that was just a fun experience, in and of itself.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It was growing up as a wrestling fan in the early 90s was the best, without a doubt. But moving on, I did want to make sure that we got to talk about the wrestling figures, man. I grew up owning so many of these figures,
Me
and
too, bro.
it's just it's etched in my fabric of my being.
Did you have your own figure fed?
Absolutely. Did you have a custom name for yours?
I don't think I ever. If I did, I don't remember. But no, I don't think I did. I
I
probably
didn't.
did, but I don't remember. You didn't either.
My figure fed was called the WWF.
But oh yeah, well mine was just the WWF too at the time. But I had like the ring and like a little entrance and like bunch of wrestlers. Like I went all in on it.
I mean, I got so serious at one point that my older brother got out of wrestling, got out of the figures and all that, and he gave me what he had left, and it was a WCW ring. It was, and WCW, say what you want about the company, but actually, on second thought, that ring was very poorly made. It was a shitty fucking ring for a wrestling figure fed. The WWF put out way better toy rings. But yeah, man, I had WWF shows and WCW shows. I was constantly playing with these figures.
Yeah, and I was just even, a little sidetrack. I was just at the Target, and they have so much cooler toys now. Like they're so realistic looking, and I just wish I was a kid now.
I hate them now.
Oh, really? Why? What do you see?
It's something about the design. My favorite version of figure is probably during the Ruthless Aggression. The bodies were a little more bloated up and everything, and they were just better figures.
Fair enough.
Taller, But
yeah, let's go back to your figure fed as a young kid.
Well, it really meant a lot to me because at one point, it was my birthday, and I grew up severely poor. My parents got a divorce whenever I was about 6, 7 years old. And I went off with my mom with just me and my brother. And she worked at a convenience store to provide for us. So she didn't make that much money, if you could imagine that, Michael.
I can imagine.
So
I didn't have very much to either when I was growing up. My mom did the
man.
best she could. She was single, oftentimes, and did the best she could. But
Yeah, I mean, it really, growing up poor is great. It really shapes you.
I don't know if you're joking or not, but I actually think it does shape you.
No, I don't take things for granted, really. I appreciate things a little bit more. Now in my, I'm 33 years old. I got a little bit of money these days, and it's kind of nice because I grew up poor, brother. But go ahead and for all these viewers at home, show a picture of me as a young lad. And guys, this is another reason why you should be going to twitch.tv/the DuFour brand.
I actually meant to show these earlier. I've been messing with my camera trying to get it back online, and I have been failing miserably. But yeah, here we got your first photo. This is actually the one that you were talking about when you were watching Nails versus The Undertaker, correct?
Yes, it's from the same period. I'm about 4 or 5 years old in that picture.
And so that's your brother?
Yeah, that's my older brother, Julian.
And then, of course, a little puppy.
Whenever I was a kid, I always wanted my older brother to get into wrestling, and I especially my wanting him to become a pro wrestler grew as years went by, because I mean, he was a great athlete, always excelled at baseball, and he turned into a football player in high school, and he just had different genetics than me. He was just a bigger guy than I was. And whenever I was really little, ever since then, until I became a wrestler, I always wanted my older brother to get into the wrestling business, because I grew up with the guy, and I could see his passion for pro wrestling. Whenever
is that him again?
Yeah, yep. We had to beg for food.
You had to beg for food.
We really
Come
did.
on.
He actually has some leftover dog food on his face in that picture.
That's cute.
Yeah. So it was great.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, no, that's me. Yeah.
What grade would you have been in here?
I don't think I was in school yet. I think I was about 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, man.
You look scared there. Nervous.
I spent a lot of time as a child scared. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, pro wrestling was such a blessing to me in my childhood. It was the focal point of my. It was the only way I could make friends. That was like my opening line to other kids in class. I just walk up to them and be like, "Hey, do you like wrestling?" And 9 times out of 10, guys, it was the 90s. Wrestling was red hot. 9 times out of 10, they were saying yes. Everybody was wearing WWF shirts. Everybody was watching it. So it was incredibly popular. You like those pictures, huh, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, man, about 3rd grade, out on the schoolyard, a couple of the other kids who told me that they liked pro wrestling, the WWF specifically, because we would pick fights with the kids who liked WCW. I just asked them if they wanted to try moves on each other in the jungle gym. And that led to us like writing down on paper, like what our names were, what our wrestling names were, and like just stuff about our character. In 3rd grade, I was doing that shit.
All right, sorry, I'm back.
Oh, I didn't know you left.
My camera's dead, so I'm just using the MacBook camera now. But for the people who are watching us, people listening, doesn't matter.
Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, of course. I was listening to everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Third grade. What does that make me? 9, 10 years old, and I'm creating a league with my buddies.
A backyard league?
It's not a backyard. This is on the schoolyard.
Schoolyard. So no trampoline, none of that stuff.
It that like enclosure, it's not monkey bars, but it's like this big metal enclosure kids would.
Is it like a dome?
Yeah, like a dome.
Oh yeah, we had those. Yeah.
Yeah, that was our squared circle.
I'm surprised people even allowed us to have those things. Like, you'd think people would like die on that. Like,
incredibly dangerous.
Oh yeah, and there's well, I don't think any of that stuff would fly in a playground these days, but they had a lot of like dangerous playground stuff for us to play on.
And I remember being
made of metal
yeah, I mean, and I've always been acrobatic. I've always been able to like test my limits, and I would just walk these things all the time.
Yeah, so you were always pretty athletic?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. My passion whenever I was really young was running, because at the daycare that I went to, I was the fastest runner.
And why was that? Were you running from somebody or just running for fun?
No, we just have races and stuff, and it was kind of like known amongst the daycare that nobody could beat Travis DuFour in a foot race. Until one day, this kid who was a foreign exchange student from, I think, Mexico, started going to my daycare, my stomping grounds. And he whipped my ass in a foot race one day. And that was the first time, I think, that my ego really got checked.
Did you felt deflated?
I felt ashamed in myself. I felt like a failure. I thought I was going to grow up and just pick up trash the rest of my life.
But there's nothing wrong with that, though.
You can get paid really good to do that.
They do actually do. They do make great money.
There's no doubt about it. But that's where I was headed.
All right, so tell me about this passion for wrestling and how that might have blossomed into you wanting to do it yourself, maybe.
Well, I mean, times were changing. There was video games being made of it. There was just so much media. Computers.
And you played all the games, right? You played all the games?
Yeah. Literally every game. If we're talking personal favorites, SmackDown, the original SmackDown, Just Bring It, was great. And it kind of molded my love for wrestling video games. The ones before that, a lot of people say No Mercy on the N64 is the greatest game ever. I effing hate that game.
Why do you hate it? I think I remember playing that one.
It's just the graphics are, trash. And I thought that then, though. Like, it was pretty cutting edge for the time. I thought then that it was trash. And just the N64 controller. You played with the N64?
I did. I thought that No Mercy was the game that some people praise, but I guess maybe it's another one. It has to be another one. Oh, some people praise that?
Oh, No Mercy is on a lot of people's top list.
Interesting, but it's on your shit list.
Oh, it's absolutely the worst game, probably one of the worst. I mean, that's going a little far. But the first in the SmackDown series was life-changing for me.
And so what would be your favorite game then? Probably that one?
Well, on SmackDown 2, let me go ahead and ask you. Yes.
SmackDown, yeah, Shut Your Mouth. Yeah, that was actually one of my favorites right there. Oh no, Here Comes the Pain.
Here Comes the Pain. Excellent game. Love that game. SmackDown 2, though, had a 4-player career mode.
4-player?
Dude,
I don't think they've ever done anything like that since then.
Nope. And it was me and 3 of the other guys in our backyard league. We would play that game all together when we weren't backyarding.
You also used to, what was that simulation game? You'd create feds online. Remember what was that called? We used to play that together, actually. Yeah, Extreme Warfare. Dude, that was addicting.
Oh, yeah.
You could lose days of your life in a row to that game without even thinking about it.
I remember I sat down to play one day. I had a bowl of ice cream and I started playing. And by the time I looked back at my ice cream, it was a bowl of milk. Dude, I spent that much time.
Yeah, I spent way too much time doing that. I could have been doing way more things, but hey, it was fun. It was fun, but kind of pointless also. You had to do there were so many intricate things that you had to do for a show. Like you literally had to do everything. All like the everything. It just way too involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't think I could have the patience for something like that today.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I could. Not today. Just too much to do.
Hey man, that's respectable. But you said that you
I like
backyard
simple
wrestled,
games.
didn't you?
Yeah, backyard wrestle. Yeah, just with a few friends. Like we had
You
a
did it on the
trampoline.
trampoline though.
Well, yeah, that's the way you should do it. Like, well,
Well,
how did you didn't use a trampoline?
hell no.
I actually took it. I took this so seriously. I treated it like a business. I used my birthday money one year and decided that I was going to get a trampoline specifically for backyard wrestling. Like it wasn't for any other reason. Also bought like a couple DJ lights and some speakers or something so we can play some music, and it was fun. I mean, we tried to have a little production in our backyard.
Let me ask you this, Mike. What is the most insane bump you ever took?
Actually, I was not a bumper. I was the one.
That's what I thought.
I was the one who made other people bump. Oh, dude, my best friend, he did something crazy. He's still my best friend to this day. He just okay. So there was this old like beat up Nissan outside of our house next to this garage, and it was pretty much junked. It wasn't being used, and I don't even think it even started.
Oh, did they let you trash it?
They didn't let us do anything. We just took it upon ourselves because I was just like, well, because I don't know. I was like 13, 14 at the time. And I was like, well, I don't know. It's just sitting here. Nobody's really using it. And my buddy decides to climb onto the roof of the garage, which was right next door or right next to the car. And his brother, who he was wrestling at the time, his wrestling name was Juvenile, I think. He laid
Ooh, very creative.
And his name was Punk. So he was Punk before CM Punk was Punk.
Wow.
But so he goes up to the top. His brother's laying on the hood of the vehicle, and this motherfucker decides to do a swanton bomb off of it, or no, and lands right on the hood of the car. The whole hood dents, completely dents. It turned out my mom did end up getting rid of the car, so we were in the clear. But
that was your car.
What was my mom's car? It wasn't my car. I was just 13. So
why'd you let him do that?
I don't think it was really. I don't think I really had to say. He kind of just jumped up there, and I was the guy holding the camera because I would do a lot of the videotaping because it was my camera, and so I was just recording. And also, as I was recording, I would be doing commentary. So I was so into the match. I was like, "Oh, Punk's climbing the garage. What is he gonna do? Oh, he's jumping off." But by the time he jumped off, it hadn't really occurred to me that he had just landed in my mom's vehicle.
You holding the camera talking, I'm just imagining the proud father at the birthday party.
Oh, dude, I was so pumped. Like, he did some stupid shit though. One other time he did a double flip and he hit his chin on the trampoline bar, so he overshot the trampoline like padded area or whatever, the mat, and hit his head hit his chin right on the bar. So he was knocked out because as soon as he hit, all I saw was in his head he was laying motionless, and I thought he was dead. I was ready for. Actually, I think what I said. Okay, we got to go. Everybody inside. We're just gonna leave him there for dead.
Vince McMahon has invested millions into the "Do not try this at home" ads.
It did not work for us.
2 fucks.
The "Do not try this at home" did not have any effect on us.
Nah, you try to top whatever's in the "Do not try."
Absolutely. We also had I don't know what you guys used for wrestling belts, but we used the plastic WWE belts, which were so much better back then than the crap that they give now at the toy store. Way better then.
Oh yeah, it's like thicker foam. Yeah.
It's like thin little straps now that just feel like nothing. It's like kitty. Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's
So what did you use for titles?
Well, there's a lot of people who say, they get really pissed off whenever they hear people, "Oh, things were better back in my day." But brother, a lot of things were. I'm sorry. But at the beginning of my backyard tenure, we used the belt that you can get from Kmart, the WWF, the Winged Eagle. It was the Winged Eagle title too.
Oh, damn, you had the good one.
Yeah. And I remember, I grew up in an apartment complex where you had to have a low income to live there. So it's me and a bunch of other poor kids. And I remember one of my backyard friends, they were so poor. The only thing he got for his birthday one year was one of those foam titles because he saw it in my backyard league so much and wanted one
You
so
got
bad.
jealous.
Yeah.
You made him jealous.
Yeah.
Dude, those were awesome though. Side note, one of my friend's brothers actually took one of our foam belts because he got pissed.
Okay.
I don't know. He took it and snapped it in two right on his knee, like right in front of us, because he got mad over some storyline or some bullshit that kids get mad over that actually means nothing in real life. He just snaps it in two, and I went crazy. I'm like, no! I'm just going crazy.
I'm not a violent guy, but I would pop somebody for that.
Dude, he broke the how do you just disrespect the championship like that?
Did you get it on film?
We got everything on film, but I don't know where that camera or that film went.
No, but did he tear the belt on film?
He did, but it's gone.
Okay, hey, no. Hey, let him work his gimmick.
I don't think he was working. He was throwing a temper tantrum.
It wasn't a shoot. He did it on film. You think he's not working you?
Okay, he was probably working. You're right. He's probably working us.
No, those were the days though. Whenever you didn't have to take yourself so seriously, just getting together with your friends. Like that's mainly what it is.
And you went outside. Like you didn't. Yeah, we had video games and we played them, but like we didn't devote our lives to video games. You know what I mean? Like we went outside and did stuff.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, teach your own. You can make a lot of money playing video games.
No, I'm not criticizing. No, I'm just saying it's good to get out, is what I was saying. I am no way. I love video games, so I'm in no way criticizing people who do play a lot. But it just was way different then. Like when you woke up, you're like, okay, well, what do I do? Well, I'm going to go outside and play with my friends. That's what you did.
Yep. So whenever backyard wrestling really got serious for me was at the apartment complex that I was living in. And it's where I made one of my closest friendships that I've ever had with this guy named Gary, who I'm trying to make this as broad as possible. We wrestled on the grass.
Dude, that's dangerous. You should have went with the trampoline.
That's dangerous. We're taking brain busters on the ground. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude. We did some stuff on the ground. We did like some power bombs and some stuff, but we were very careful about it.
Whenever I first started backyarding, it was very sissy. Mainly submissions,
But you got braver as you went on.
Yeah, I mean, the first backyard matches, you're maybe seeing a suplex. That's like the most complex thing you're seeing.
Yeah, but suplex is pretty easy to land and make yourself and your opponent make it not hurt for you guys. So yeah, I think
that's a pretty simple bump there. Mike, did you have a backyard name?
My backyard name was actually Mike Toxic.
Mike Toxic, I like that.
I'm surprised you don't remember that because I think I was even going by Mike Toxic in our Burnout Media days, which we'll get to on a later episode. But in the very early days of Burnout Media, I think I'm still using Mike Toxic.
No, absolutely, you were. Yeah, you were Mike Toxic.
Yeah,
I didn't know you used that in the backyard,
dude. Yeah, that was my backyard name, Mike Toxic, and I was a world champion at one time of the backyard.
How many title defenses?
I don't know, 3, 4, 5. Who knows? But I always booked myself to go over. I was like the big show in my backyard wrestling federation.
Okay, I can see that. You had a bunch of other like smaller kids than you.
Yeah, I also did. I don't know what the move's actually called, but it's when you pick up your opponent for a suplex, but then you kind of bring them down on their head instead of like it's kind of like almost like a DDT, but from the air. It's kind of like what John Moxley does. Actually, is that a brain buster? I don't know.
You might be thinking of the Death Valley Driver.
Actually, that's what I think. That's exactly what it is. So that was my finishing move, but we would only do that on the trampoline, so it didn't really hurt.
Whenever I first started wrestling, my finisher was the figure 4 leg lock because I was like maybe like 80, 85, 90, 95 pounds, somewhere in there.
So were you a Ric Flair fan? Is that what brought that on, or?
Yeah. No, I did not grow up loving Ric Flair at all. I did see that his finisher was the figure 4 leg lock.
And you like that?
My brother did. My brother would put me in the figure 4 leg lock to like legitimately torture me when we were kids.
Oh, damn.
And
trauma.
Well, I watched him do it one time and I was like, I dissected the move, and I was like, I think I could do that move. He never let me try it on him.
I've seen you do it in later videos when you like in your wrestling days, and you actually apply it pretty well. I don't know how it was in the backyard days, but
My rule of thumb is that if I'm going over and if you're too heavy, figure 4 leg lock. That was my finisher.
makes sense.
But,
So how about you? Did you win some championships in your backyard wrestling days?
Well, at the very first company, it was my company, so I strapped myself up multiple times there.
And what was the name of that? Is this?
Yeah, that's a good image right there. That's
That's a young Trey Blaylock right there.
15 years old. Yep.
15. Damn.
Yeah.
So that's your chance. Is that your chance? Is that the undisputed championship I see?
That is the toy replica of the undisputed championship.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
One of my
that's a
favorite title designs.
beautiful belt. My favorite belt of all time is definitely the Winged Eagle.
Wait, I can't tell from the photo, but are you bleeding or is that like face paint?
That is some fake blood. Yes.
Oh, dude, fake blood. You guys went all out for your show then. So did you have like a blood packet or something, and you would just like instead of blading, you'd be squirting some blood on your face or what?
Well, the guy that I'm shaking his hand right there, that's actually my best friend, Gary, who I met at the apartment complex when I first started wrestling. And he was a big fan of blood capsules. So he would order blood capsules from like the Halloween store. And what he liked to do was put it in his mouth. And I would do some kind of move to his midsection that would make him start throwing up blood.
That was probably a fun spot. Probably looked good. Did you guys actually film it like we would do?
Yes, I have about 10 shows.
You still have them today?
I do. They're on VHS. And one thing that we will be doing on the DuFour brand is a watch along eventually.
That would be pretty fun, actually. I would get some kicks out of that for sure.
Oh, hell yeah. And I'm going to make sure that I don't watch
I wish
it
we had
beforehand.
clips.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's probably best not to watch it. Probably make you cringe looking back at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I would for my stuff, just because it just we took it way too serious. And that's a good thing and also a bad thing, but we made fools of ourselves for sure. Did you guys ever use a ladder in your backyard wrestling federation?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or any weapons? Tell me about the kind of weapons you would use.
I think that I was going to get into that in a little bit.
That's cool. Yeah. I was just curious about it.
Because at the very beginning of this backyard wrestling venture, it was very tame. It wasn't like the VHS tapes that were coming out about backyard wrestling. It was so tame. Like we never did anything crazy.
Some of those tapes were crazy. I had a couple. Yeah, they were crazy.
You know, they were involving the fire, the light tubes and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I was never interested in that.
That's good. But, we weren't either. Yeah. No, thank you.
I was trying to figure out what I was going to wear. Like, I don't know.
So we were just interested in doing some of the basic moves and just basically copying what we saw on TV. Wrestling was fun and we wanted to do
storylines. Yeah.
Yeah. Storyline. Yeah. And we would too. Would you write out your shows?
We would. Yep.
We did. Mm-hmm. I still have some booklets of some shows that I wrote up. That's the one thing I still have.
I would love to see those one day.
Yeah. We would just have the list of matches and who's going over and all kinds of crazy stuff.
So one night I'm watching Monday Night Raw and a commercial comes on advertising pro wrestling is coming to the Martinsburg Fairgrounds. And I was like, oh, pro wrestling, the Martinsburg Fairgrounds. Now, I had never known that there was anything outside of the WWF, WCW, or ECW at this time.
So this was your first exposure to like something local.
Yeah. And the graphic comes across Greg the Hammer Valentine, former WWF champion Ivan Koloff, and Demolition Axe are all coming to the fairgrounds. And brother, on one of those tapes that I grew up on, I think it was the Survivor Series one, Demolition is heavily involved in that pay-per-view.
And you knew who those wrestlers were, like, at the time, right?
Hyped. I wanted to meet Demolition Axe more than anything. Greg Valentine, I had seen him, obviously, you know, but they were kind of advertising him as like the marquee guy, but besides Ivan Koloff, former WWF champion. But dude, I was like, I have to go to this. Have you ever been to an indie show?
Yeah, in Cleveland, we went to a show with someone you know. I won't say his name, but went to a wrestling show and actually saw Kano. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He went by another name too. Oh, but I also saw Tyler Black there. So I saw Tyler Black and Johnny Gargano, and that was my first exposure to those guys. Tyler Black, for those of you who don't know, is now Seth Rollins, and Johnny Gargano is still that. He's still going by that. But
so you got to see get a little taste of the Ohio independent wrestling scene.
Oh yeah, it was fun, dude. It was a good show, and Tyler, I could tell Tyler Black at the time was going to be a somebody. He just looked when he made his entrance, I could tell that.
How old were you?
Oh, I had to have been
18, 19.
17 or 18.
Well, see, it's kind of cool because like different areas you get to see different kind of wrestling. Like that's the kind of wrestling that you got to see where I grew up in Martinsburg, West Virginia. We saw the old timers come through. Like I paid a ticket to see Tony Atlas. I saw Head Shrinker Samu. The promoter that ran the shows around here, he just bring in the old timers. I never really saw anybody from the future come through.
No. So
Luke Gallows is from my area.
Oh, really?
I saw Luke Gallows.
Does he still live there now, do you know, or he just was originally from there?
No, I believe he lives in Georgia now, but he was Dorian DeVille whenever I first saw him.
That name sounds familiar, actually. I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah.
Maybe was he popular with that name or no?
Not at all.
Huh. Then maybe I'm just making that up, but it sounds familiar.
It was kind of cool because whenever, like, one of the first big things he did was he was the Imposter Kane.
May 19th. I remember that.
And I was like, man, this is a dude I was paying a ticket to see. I was kind of starstruck when I saw that.
That felt good. I think I was one of the few that actually thought that storyline was cool. I really.
I was hyped about it.
I thought Kane versus Kane was pretty sweet, but I think they ended it pretty quick because I guess they disagreed.
Pulling no punches. Gallows looked like shit in the Kane outfit, but other than that, I was excited.
I think if they had kept the lights dim enough, it would be convincing. But once the light comes on, it's pretty clear it was not Kane.
There goes the magic, brother.
Yep. But so this is someone from a local. Did this like give you inspiration that maybe since somebody in your area was on TV, that maybe you might be on TV someday? Would that give you any type of hope?
that was never
never a thought.
No, it was actually
cool seeing him.
Yeah. Seeing the advertisement for this independent wrestling show with Greg Valentine, Demolition Axe, all these guys. My mom couldn't take me, so I asked my dad, and my parents were divorced and everything. So my dad agreed to take me to this wrestling event.
Wrestling.
Yeah, I'd consider it wrestling. It was a very old school production. I mean, they just, I came to this place and it had a shitty tarp set up for the guys to walk under. There was no banners or nothing. There was just a wrestling ring set up in the center of this little music hall that they had at the fairgrounds.
So pretty bare bones.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah. But the thing that sold me about the whole thing, right out the gate, opening match starts, and this guy comes through the curtain, and they announce him as Doc Hollywood, and he's making his way to the ring, and he stops right in front of me. And now this is kind of like a barn type setting, so there's like where I'm sitting, there's like a lot of dirt and stuff where I'm sitting. This guy Doc Hollywood like kicks up dirt on me, like kicks it in my face. And, you know, being the bad guy, and like some dirt gets in my mouth and shit. And I'm like, that son of a bitch. And, you know, he keeps walking.
Dude, are you a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fan?
Yeah.
It just reminded me of that line where he said, "I'm going to put some dirt in your eye." You remember that stupid line?
No,
I could just picture Toby Spider-Man walking next to you. "I'm going to put some dirt in your eye."
no, but dude, as crazy as it sounds, that spot right there sold me.
Really?
Sold me.
And why? Well, because you just love the bad guy.
Love the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he took that extra little bit, kicking dirt towards the fans, you know.
My favorite thing about heels is always like when they would like wipe their boots off at the side of the ring. That's like a heel thing, right?
No, that's a respect thing.
Oh, really? Oh, I always thought it was like
Yeah.
a heel thing. I never knew
No,
that.
man, you should always wipe your feet before you get in the squared circle.
That's cool. Somebody told me that was a heel thing, and they were wrong.
Wow, I think that they were trying to get you beat up.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I remember actually that's when I was doing that show with you the one time. You let me bump a few times. That's one of the things I did before I got in the ring was I wiped my feet because I don't know, it just felt like a heel thing to do, but it wasn't a heel thing, I guess.
You saw Mr. Perfect do it one time, and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna."
It looked cool. Exactly.
Yeah, that is cool. The magic behind everything.
Yeah. But you got some dirt in your eye.
Yeah, dude, I was fully sucked in. One interesting thing about this event is that the main event was supposed to be Ivan Koloff versus Greg Valentine. And about halfway through the show, they announced that there was some kind of car issues with Ivan Koloff, and Ivan Koloff was not going to be there. So to replace Ivan Koloff, they didn't announce anything. They just said Ivan Koloff isn't going to be here, and the show kept going. Demolition Axe came out to wrestle his opponent, and the surprise opponent for him was Nikolai Volkov. Are you a Nikolai guy?
I have not seen any. I like him from what I've seen, but I was not a fan. Or anything like that.
That's fair enough.
I did not follow his work.
He sang the national anthem from whatever country
whatever country.
On one of the VHS tapes I had growing up, so I knew who he was.
Yeah, that's cool though. I remember him singing that song. That's about the only thing I remember of him. And he also had that like hat. It was probably was it Russian? Russia?
Were they Russian? Because he
I don't know.
was Iron Sheik too.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
But
I liked Iron Sheik. I always thought he was cool.
No, I'm not an Iron Sheik guy.
No.
Was
there a reason?
No, I mean,
did you ever run in with him one time?
No, I mean his gimmick was that he was like a foreign, like that foreign enemy, and that gimmick has never worked on me. I've never liked any foreign Canada, Lance Storm, like any kind of foreigner gimmick. I've never been into.
I got you. I actually kind of like the foreigner gimmicks. So I'm kind of the opposite of you on that one. So like the Law Resistance tag team, I liked them. What was the Canadian tag team where they tried to burn the American flag and then Kane actually returned, whatever they were? The Un-Americans, I like them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I always liked the foreigners for some reason. I just gravitated towards it.
I mean,
Muhammad Hassan, love that dude.
Yeah. Well, you're a big Mark, so you kind of like everything, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you. No, actually, I've always gravitated toward whatever the bad guys were. That's who I liked.
No, I mean, I don't know who's the bigger Mark, me or you, because I ended up dedicating 15 years of my life to it. So who's the bigger?
Sounds like it's you.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. William Regal actually just went on a recent podcast and talked about how he hates the word Mark. He thinks it's a derogatory word and he doesn't like to use it because he doesn't think of wrestling fans as marks.
I've heard that argument.
Yeah. So what's your stance on what Mr. Regal says on that?
I don't really use marks. I used it just now in a satire kind of way.
Yeah.
But after this wrestling show, I remember me and my dad walking back to the car, and my dad actually made it a point to stop whenever we got to the car, and he looked at me and he was like, "Hey, these guys don't make like anything. They don't barely make any money, and it's a tough life. Like it's
so
tough."
He knew the business. He knew the business kind of.
He
working somehow.
He said this to me, and he was like, "But if you
read like Dave Meltzer's newsletter or something, I don't know."
I would. I'll get I'll just go ahead and get to it. He actually died about a month after he took me to this wrestling show.
Oh, wow. Just a month after.
Well, what I was going to say is that I'd like to pick his brain about like what he knew about wrestling, because I never really had any wrestling conversations with my dad.
Well, it sounds like he knew something though, like he was giving you that information.
Well,
Like,
he pulled me off to the side and he was like, tough life, tough business. But then he said, but if you really want to do it, I really think that you could. I think that you got the heart for it.
dude, he said that?
He said that.
Dude, that's badass. Like he planted that seed.
I mean, this man was 1000% my hero. So hearing that, it lit a flame in me.
This is another photo of him now.
Yeah.
So that's actually really cool. I didn't even know that fact, that he said that to you, and then that made you obviously think, right? Like, because you hear a lot of stories about parents and they're just like, oh, don't do that, don't do this, and they discourage their kids from doing certain things. And here he is telling you, if you wanted to be a wrestler, you could definitely do that. Like, that's pretty badass.
He was a total hippie, and he was not the disciplinarian too. I remember him specifically. I remember my mom and him getting into a fight one time, and she said, whenever the boys come back here, they don't listen to me for shit. So you need to be more strict whenever they're visiting you. And guess what my dad said? He said, boys will be boys.
I love that phrase. It's
Boom.
true.
Fuck you, mom.
Fuck you. Dads are the best.
Now, my mom, she really has supported my dreams just as much. So I love my
That's good. That's good. So the both of them kind of cheered you on.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to that real fast. So like he was telling you, you could be a wrestler. Like, do you remember at all what went through your head? Was that even a thought then? Like, yeah, I could be, or did you kind of just forget about it for now?
Well, at this time, I was wrestling with my buddies. I was backyard wrestling at this time, and I was actually the owner. So I was kind of calling the shots and stuff. But after I went to a show, saw people get slammed, had all this stuff happen. My dad says this to me. Next time I'm in the backyard, I'm like really dissecting stuff, and I'm like putting more oomph into my entrance. And I'm just, I'm starting to feel it in my bones every time that I, get together with my friends. What ends up happening is I move away from the apartment and into a house into the city. So I'm going from an apartment to now I live in the middle of a city. The mall's in walking distance. The high school's in walking distance. And the next chapter of my life is starting.
And so when you move to the city, there's obviously no backyard or anything to wrestle in anymore, right?
I now have an enclosed backyard.
An enclosed backyard. Okay.
Yeah. I don't have to worry about the other tenants.
When you said city, I was picturing like the high-rise buildings. So I was just like, oh, it sounds like the backyard days are over.
Now, if anybody's ever been to Martinsburg, it's not really a city. It's just a really big town.
I got you.
But yeah, man, I really started getting heavily into backyard wrestling at this time. I had changed my backyard into a backyard wrestling arena. I had beds, mattresses.
That's crazy. What did you call this federation?
This incarnation was the NLBW, No Limit Backyard Wrestling.
There's the logo right there. Did you make that yourself?
I did.
Very nice.
Yeah, the NLBW, owner and president and owner.
I was the president and owner of it's real original. It was called Extreme Backyard Wrestling, EBW. The most generic backyard name you could even think of. I'm sure hundreds of other backyard federations were called the exact same thing. At least yours has like unique like abbreviation, NLBW.
Well, the promotion previously was NLW, No Limit Wrestling. In the apartments, we had No Limit Wrestling, and then moving into this house, which actually, for the record, I didn't own that. My best friend did. So whenever I moved into this house, I started my own league called the NLBW, and my neighbors got in on the action. There was kids that I met in high school that got in on the action. I got to meet a lot of people because I was hosting these backyard wrestling events.
Now, did you ever actually get into like selling tickets, or did anyone come and watch the show?
They did, yeah. Um, uh, it was never any more than 10 people, but sisters, one time friend from schools, they would pop in. It was never like a really major thing. One time during this period, I was in a backyard match in my friend's garage. He had asked his mom if it was cool for them to change their garage into an arena. So we had like lights set up in there, all this stuff set up in there. And I was in a match, and I was on top of this kid throwing strikes. And one of the fans, which was the brother of this kid that I was beating up, thought I was beating him up for real. So he came up and open palm slapped me in the face.
Oh, damn. Like Will Smith style.
Yeah. And this kid was about 3 or 4 years younger than me. And I had a good 20, 30 pounds on this kid. I let go of the guy that I'm punching, and I just go into full blackout mode. And I just grab this kid by the shirt and start slapping the shit out of him.
What was his reaction to that?
Well, it wasn't just him and his brother. They had like 3 other brothers, and all of the brothers like see me do this.
So they jump in or what?
Well, they thought that he was a shithead, so they didn't help him at all. And I beat the brakes off this kid.
What does it mean to beat the brakes off somebody? Can you just describe that for me? What goes flying off of somebody where you beat the brakes off of them?
He was just howling, crying, and it was only like 5 or 6 slaps, but it wasn't punches. I wasn't even punching this kid. I was slapping the shit out of him.
You should have punched him right in the throat. Just went for the jugular.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, even at 16 years old, I think I knew that would kill somebody.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, that was just kind of like a random story there. One thing that started catching on with my backyard league was the ultra violent backyard wrestling.
Like what are you talking about? Weapons or what?
Oh, the glass tubes, barbed wire.
Wait, I thought you said you didn't do those. You actually did start to.
All of my buddies around me, dude, they started like really experimenting with that stuff.
Can you tell me like what led to this decision to like get more violent? Like whose idea? Was their idea then?
Yeah, I mean, TNA wrestling started in 2002. I was backyard wrestling 2002, 2003, 2004. And the backyard wrestling tapes were coming out at this time as well. And I think that the other guys in my group were very impressionable whenever it came to me. I never wanted to prove anything to anybody. I never had like that big of an ego about it, I guess. But there was the other kids in the group, man. They really started up in the ante. We used to wrestle at this one guy's grandpa's house. And his grandpa was so old school, and he was this sweet old man. And one day we decided that we were going to catch 2 tables that were stacked on top of each other on fire.
No, you guys were crazy.
And my buddy who lived at the house, he was going to get put on my other buddy's shoulders, and they were going to jump off of the roof of the house through 2 flaming tables.
Jesus.
So
they were literally insane.
No, these guys were. I never tried any of that shit.
Oh, you never got involved in that stuff? Did you ever take a light tube to the face?
No. I mean, after this story, I will tell the most extreme thing I ever did. But the guys go onto the roof, and they're about to do the spot. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do. But the grandpa comes outside, and he sees what they're doing. And you know what this old man does?
What?
He goes and grabs the hose on the side of the house, just starts spraying it at him.
Trying to get him to stop.
Yeah, and he's saying super calm, "Now come on, Matthew, got to get down from there."
As he's spraying them.
Yeah, super casual. And at this point, the tables are on fire. He's not spraying the tables. He's shooting it up on the roof at these kids.
Dude, these kids wanted to die. And a death wish.
I know that a lot of my friends like had like issues, you know. So did I, you know. And that was one of our escapes, was getting together on the weekends to backyard wrestle.
Yeah, we loved backyard wrestling too, but the most extreme thing we ever did was not even that extreme. I mean, I told you about the Nissan thing where someone was jumping off the roof, which I didn't partake in. Somebody jumped off a ladder once. Somebody also got powerbombed. So somebody's bright idea was to duct tape a piece of cardboard onto two chairs.
Oh, perfect.
Between two chairs. So it was going to act like a table almost. And the effect that we thought would happen is someone would get powerbombed through it and like the cardboard would like rip in half or something. That is not what happened. The cardboard did not rip in half. It actually brought both chairs. Where is my camera? There we go. It actually brought both chairs to collapse on each other, hit him in the face. Both chairs hit him right in the face. And we thought he was knocked out. So a lot of our stunts didn't pan. No, and we've never got any real blood. Oh, except for my one buddy on his chin. When he hit the metal bar, there was blood there. Yeah, so some of the stunts that we tried to pull off that we even tried to make safe did not go too well.
Actually, one of my best friends growing up, Chase, I tried to do the Swanton bomb on him, and we were on the trampoline, and I realized that he was too far out, and so I bailed on the Swanton bomb.
Bailed.
Well, I ended up doing a full front flip, and whenever my heel came down, it came crashing down directly on the bridge of his nose.
Ooh, broken nose?
There was blood immediately. So much. I couldn't believe it.
Now, are you do you have an issue with blood, or is it like
no?
I know for me, I have like a weak stomach on that shit. So
no, and just a preview into episode 2 of the Travis DuFour Show, we will be talking about my pro wrestling career. So that is something to look forward to, and we can talk a little bit more about blood on that episode.
Cool.
So, with that being said, backyard wrestling is consuming my life at this point. I'm in high school, and one thing that I've never enjoyed is school. So I just stopped going.
Wait, real quick, going back to you can't just gloss over that table story. So did anybody go through the flaming tables?
No, it worked.
The
grandpa spraying the spray, they came right down. They were like cats. They were like, "Oh, we don't like water."
Oh, I really was hoping somebody was going to go through those damn tables.
Nah, probably. Okay, so yeah, I did promise I was going to tell a story about the sickest thing I ever did in backyard.
Yeah.
It was my last backyard match I had, and I was wrestling my best friend Joey Landis. And the finish is I'm going to get power bombed through a makeshift table like the one that you were saying earlier, but mine wasn't cardboard. It was actually like a plywood between two steel chairs. But the thing that made it the most hardcore thing I ever did is Joey Landis goes to pick me up for the power bomb to power bomb me through this table. And he's realizing that whenever you have somebody in the power bomb, you can't see.
Yeah. Oh, so he missed his mark.
He tosses me, and and I don't go through the center of the table. I am very much so off to the right, and I go crashing through a steel chair.
Oh, how bad did that hurt?
It looked gnarly on
it looked
and it did not hurt at all.
Really? That's great. That's good.
And I was very proud of my selling too. I acted like it killed me. But,
well, at least you didn't get hurt. So did you ever get injured while backyard wrestling?
I don't believe so. I know that whenever I initially started backyard wrestling, because of the injury, just being scared to get hurt, I made a decision when I first started it that I didn't want to be a wrestler. I actually wanted to be like a Vince McMahon type.
You know, be the boss, be the promoter.
Yeah, be the on-screen character, be the guy who's pulling the strings.
That's what I enjoyed too. I always enjoyed, and we're kind of the same in that way. Then I enjoyed the interviewing people, pretty much, yeah, exactly like what Vince would do in the early days, kind of doing a bit of everything.
The original dream was be Vince McMahon. I didn't want to be Austin. I wanted to be McMahon.
And did you have any goals with this backyard promotion? Did you see it going anywhere in your mind? Like, did you have anything planned, or what was your vision for it, I guess? Did you see it going anywhere?
Well, I knew that it wasn't going to be, you know, I had a couple of friends in the backyard who would talk like that. They'd be like, we want to make this careers. Like once we do turn 18, we want to stay in the backyard and just make content for the internet, which was becoming a thing.
Oh, but yeah, stay backyard wrestlers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's the video games that are coming out. There's the tapes that are coming out. Like backyard wrestling is sweeping the nation at this time.
Oh, I remember. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was great. And I mean, the other guys, they had some ideas about continuing backyard wrestling, but I never did. I knew whenever I was turning 18, I was going to find a school and start my pro wrestling journey.
So did you guys always do it on the grass then? There was never a ring or a trampoline or anything like that?
Well, there was different variations throughout the years. You know, I've wrestled on a tarp on the ground. I've wrestled on mattresses that had a tarp over it. I mean, you name it.
Mattresses, yeah.
Yeah. We were let me check what time it is. Yeah, we have a good bit of time left. As far as backyard wrestling goes, it was so consuming for me that I straight up stopped going to school so I could go over to my friend's house and still write shows and stuff and like prepare for shows.
And would you guys rehearse or anything, or you just went out and winged it?
I would train people. I was a trainer.
A trainer in the backyard.
I was that damn good. I started showing the other kids how to do it.
That good, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, we even had farm leagues. I was training one of the kids and they were like, "Oh, I want to start my own thing." And I was like, "I already have my own thing. So if you want to start your own thing, you can do it across town or something. You can't do it in my like near my yard.
The town's only big enough for the one of us."
Yeah, dude. I took that shit pretty serious.
Dude, I mean, we did too for a time. Until my friend, did you ever have any friends tell you that was stupid or anything like that, or discourage you from doing that, or were all your friends just cool about it?
You know, like outside of the normal kids in elementary, middle school, saying, you know that stuff's fake. You know, I think that
I hate that. I hate that word. I hate the F word.
We've all
wrestling's not fake. It just reminds me of Ready to Rumble.
Yeah, yeah. The
I
classic scene from the classic movie Ready to Rumble.
We actually, and even one of my friends, once my one friend who was Punk, who did the stupid swanton onto the Nissan, once he started getting older, once we were all older, he got into football in high school, and he kind of like distanced himself from it. He thought it was kind of like stupid, and he didn't want to do it anymore. And that's kind of how we stopped doing it. Is, you know, then his brothers thought it was stupid, and then we kind of just stopped doing it eventually. Like by the time we were 16 or 17, like none of us were doing it anymore.
Well, good. That worked out for you.
Well, I guess I was the only one who was really pushing for it. Like I was the one who was like, "Come on, guys, I still wanted to do the shows. Like I still wanted to, you know, put them on and trying to invite them over to do it, and nobody wanted to. So I'm not going to wrestle with myself." So,
damn. So whenever that chapter closed, you felt a little more personal about it, didn't you?
It was sad. Like it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I look back on those memories fondly, and I even joke with them now. Like, "Oh, what about those EBW days? You missed those?" They're like, "No, those are stupid." I'm like, "Okay, well, F you."
Fuck them.
Deep down, they know it was cool. There's no
backyard wrestling was so dope.
Yeah, but I was the only one who wanted to continue. So, and we did get as far as like some of the neighbor kids wanted to join and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess our neighborhood was just different. It just, and also their mom didn't really like it. The moms didn't really enjoy that we were backyard wrestling. they weren't fond of it.
Oh no, for sure. My best friend's mom, we had one show at their house, and whenever all the kids went home, his mom walked up to him and was like, saying that we were like gonna break into the house and stuff. She was like, I'm gonna start investing in deadbolts because you have a really old friend here who comes here. He's like 17. He's like 17 and he's wrestling with you 14-year-olds, and he's trying to use you. And we're like,
to use you for what?
Acting crazy.
Yeah, mothers are overprotective, to say the least.
No, for sure. And you know what? This next story is exactly why this same mom was pretty pissed off and stopped letting wrestling happen to her house. It was great for me, but it was not good for her. What ended up happening?
These guys?
Well, the guy in the middle, his name was Razor.
Razor Ramon?
Nah, he was a big fan of Razor Ramon. I haven't talked to that guy in over 10 years. We're actually not friends currently. Our friendship ended about 10 years ago.
Well, that's sad. Always sad when friendships end.
That's okay by me.
Oh, it's good. It's good then.
He had entered a contest with the local independent wrestling company called the NWL HOPWF, the National Wrestling League. Razor ended up entering a contest called the Dream Come True contest. And what this contest was, they were going to allow a certain number of local Joe Schmoes to start training at the school for free. And he was picked as one of the guys. And then after he does this contest where he essentially learns how to be a pro wrestler for free, he does just a couple months of the training and then drops out of it and starts backyard wrestling with me and my friends.
So he left them?
He did. And there was a couple other people who entered it as well. Guys like Eric Polaris and Harlan Kano. There's been a couple guys, which, the modern day wrestling fan wouldn't know any of these guys, but they were all like local kids that entered into this contest to win, but they were also backyard wrestlers.
Did you ever have like a feud of any kind with another backyard fed?
Oh, with another backyard fed? No.
Yeah. When we only had one. It was like an online one. Like the feud only existed on the websites. Like we each had our own website, and we would each post stories like feuding. And I think there was a plan, but they were older than us. So they were like 18, 19 or something like that. And we were, I don't know, 15, 16. So the age difference is why we never actually ended up going to meet up with them and continuing the feud like in real life. But so it only existed on the internet.
No, that actually the same exact thing happened to me. There was a kid I met from upstate Pennsylvania, and he was trying to create an event called Battle of the Backyarders, and he wanted to use me and a couple of my friends.
Was that like a tournament?
I don't know what it was going to be. It never came to fruition. I remember talking to the kid about it, but it never came into anything. But let's go ahead and check off some of these stories, man. One of the craziest things that ever happened was Joey Landis, one of my best friends in the backyard days. He ended up watching one of these ultra violent backyard videos, and he wanted to try the whole light your hand on fire and smack your friend.
I've never even seen that before. Why
You've
would
never
you
seen that?
You light your own? He light his own skin or like a glove?
This is a classic deathmatch spot.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. Yeah, tell me about it. What is this?
Well, what Joey Landis did was he taped up his hand with the athletic tape, and then he soaked the athletic tape in lighter fluid.
Wow.
And lighter fluid burns at a insanely high level.
Not as high as gasoline, but yeah, pretty high.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say gasoline. At least he didn't do gasoline because he would have been fucked. Like royally.
So he ends up doing it. He catches his hand on fire, and the spot is that he's
Do you
going
have this
to
on camera, dude?
no.
Oh, damn it.
This is one of the only thing like they weren't filming, and I actually was not at this show whenever it happened, but which was one of the only backyard shows I missed during my tenure. But he catches his hand on fire, the athletic tape on his hand. His hand is now on fire, and the spot is Joey Landis is just gonna smack this kid upside the head. Just boom, catch your hand on fire, smack him in the head. He does it. It catches the kid's hair on fire. He's got long Jeff Hardy hair.
So it's just burning, and there's lighter fluid in his hair then?
This kid's hair's on fire, but he puts it out really quick. Now, what the problem is that Joey Landis, his hand is, he has slapped him in the head. He looks down at his hand is still on fire. He starts patting his hand on his chest, patting the back of his hand on his chest. His hand's still on fire. He is now in full-blown freak-out mode, starts screaming.
Oh my God. So how old was he then at this time?
He's 14 or 15.
14 years old, lighting his hand on fire.
He was very mature for his age.
It doesn't sound like it, honestly, if you're lighting your hand on fire.
And he was one of the biggest wrestlers we had. He was this big, stout kid. And so now scary. His hand's on fire. It's not out. He starts screaming. Now he's running around the house. He makes one full rotation around a like a rancher home, small home. He runs around this entire home and then finally just falls to his chest with his hand on the ground, and it finally puts it out.
Wow. He was in a full panic.
Brother, the damage was done. His hand had 3rd-degree burns on it.
And you saw it, right? Because you guys were friends.
I saw pictures of it. He immediately goes to the hospital, the local hospital, which is just 2 blocks down the road. But his mom is a nurse.
Oh.
That works at the hospital. She's pissed.
Oh, I bet.
Imagine that bill.
Oh, yeah. That wouldn't be pretty, even with insurance, maybe.
But that put him, I think he sat on the sidelines for about a month before he started wrestling again.
So he had to have his hand in a cast or like a wrapped up or something? Or
his hand was like he had like that petroleum jelly with the multiple wraps of gauze around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it ever like fully heal, or is there like visible damage, like permanent damage?
If you really look at his hand, it's one of those things where you got to really look for it. You can tell, but it healed up pretty good.
Wow. So what about the dude that got his hair and set on fire? What happened with him?
They made that into a bigger deal than the kid's hand.
Well, how do you mean that? How do you mean?
Well, I mean, his hair was on fire maybe a couple seconds, and it kind of put itself out. The grandparents, same grandparent that was spraying the hose. He's like,
that dude again.
It's like, I'm really sorry to hear about Landis's hand, but look at your hair.
Look at your dude. Like, I think some hair will grow back. I think your hair is fine, bro.
Yeah, I still can't believe it. The grandpa thought that was a big deal, but yeah,
I still think that's hilarious. Him spraying the hose. I just wish I was there for that day, seeing just calmly spraying the hose. But anyway,
it was great. I had a mask character as well, called the Great Malenko.
The Great Malenko, after Dean Malenko, I'm sure.
It was like an ICP character. I would come out to the Great Malenko by ICP. I had a Rey Mysterio classic mask with the red and black.
Was it like an authentic mask or one of those plastic ones?
Oh, it was a replica mask.
Oh, cool.
But it was like one of the $25, $30 ones.
Yeah.
So, but I would disguise my voice whenever I would talk like the Great Malenko. I would sound just like that. So he had his own voice.
So where did that voice come from? Like, how did you develop that voice for that specific character? Is that Russian? It almost sounded Russian the way you just did it. What was it exactly? Is it anything in particular?
No, man. I've just always been like a kind of a goofy kind of guy. And I did voices a lot growing up, and like that's how I'd make people laugh, become friends with them like elementary, middle school. And I kind of whenever you talk like this, you can kind of you can get out a lot. You don't have to think too much, and you can just kind of talk with it. And I like that. But yeah, that was a total comedy character. But my point of that story was we made a office for the great Malenko because he became the commissioner of the Backyard League.
Oh, the commissioner.
And we made a little office for him that was made out of cardboard boxes. Can you imagine that?
So like Mick Foley style, where it's like bare minimum. Because all he had was like a little desk and some trinkets.
Yeah, but you could actually go inside these cardboard boxes. It kind of looked like a cardboard box house. It was, not too big.
Oh, you mean it was that big where you could walk in it?
Yeah. Well, you had to get on your hands and knees and crawl in.
Oh, jeez.
But that's how I like you to come into my office.
That was the gimmick, though.
Yeah. So that was done on purpose, and they were like right on the outside of the door. There was like we drew with a marker this doorbell that you had to touch, or he wouldn't answer the door. But apparently on one of these shows, the great Malenko was trying to do his job, and the heavyweight champion of the world, I don't remember who it was, they wanted a match, and the great Malenko wouldn't give it to him. So we took actual gasoline and put it over the cardboard house that we made.
No.
And filmed the big bad guy catching it on fire.
Dude, gasoline. Did you realize gasoline ignites pretty damn fast?
Brother, that was a really high flame.
Oh, I bet. I bet it was. Random story that has nothing to do with backyard wrestling. I was trying to start a fire in the backyard, but we were doing like a fire pit or whatever. And my bright idea was I was going to get the gasoline can because we had already started the fire a little bit. So the fire was somewhat going, but it was just about to go out or something. My bright ass idea was to go over and pour the gasoline on it while the fire was on. I was young, I was a kid, but it never even occurred to me that it travels so fast. But as I was pouring, the fire came up towards the gasoline can and exploded. Fire is engulfed everywhere. I don't know how I wasn't burned. I walked away with not a scar on my body, but all my friends said was just your entire body was covered. Like the entire body was just flames that high in the air. They said they don't know.
Remind me, what were you doing with it?
I was trying to get the flame to be bigger. Like I wanted the fire to be bigger. And so I was like, oh, let me put
Why was there a fire?
Oh, we were just doing it was like a fire pit, like just some kids going around, gathering around a fire pit.
So everybody's trying to have a chill time at the party.
Yeah, we're just having a chill time. Maybe some marshmallows and just chilling by the fire, camp stories. And I'm pouring gasoline on it. Everyone jumps out of their chairs, and they said all they can see is just a giant ball of fire just surround my body, and they thought I was done. But I walked away with nothing. I mean, shocked. I threw the gasoline can. Oh. In the gasoline can, since I dropped the can, it started spilling onto the grass, and all the grass caught on fire. We had to go grab the hose and put it out real fast. But that was a bad night.
Does anybody who was there still bring up that story to you?
Oh yeah. I still can't believe I just can't believe I was that stupid. Like it didn't occur to me that the fire would travel up as I was pouring.
That's pretty dumb, Mikey.
It was. It definitely was. And I could have died. Or something, or at least got some burns, but I don't know how I did.
No, it was in the middle of my backyard wrestling days. I was sitting in the garage where we were having our backyard shows, and I picked up a staple gun.
Staple guns, that's scary.
I just want to kind of illustrate how dumb I am, after kind of taking a couple shots at you, Mike. I picked up this staple gun, and I was holding it. And I was like, man, like, how does this staple gun work? And I looked over at my friend. I was like, it doesn't really seem like your hand should be this extended whenever you're holding this staple gun. So I go ahead and shut it. Brother, I had it pointed straight at my face.
No.
And the staple comes flying, bounces off the top of my cheek.
Wait, what kind of staple gun was it? Was it like one of those electric ones or a regular one?
It was a regular one, but it had a little bit of power to it.
Damn. Yeah, I guess they have to because it has to fire into a piece of wood, so it would have to be powerful.
It was maybe an inch from my eye.
Oh, dude, that would have been awful. Can you imagine?
Dude, we were just
You
chilling,
almost
sitting there
blinded
talking.
yourself.
I'm playing.
You weren't
with
even
this thing.
wrestling. You're
No,
just playing with it.
like, how's this thing work? Bow.
Did it hurt?
It scared the shit out of me because I realized, I was like, bro, I almost lost my eye.
Oh, dude, that's yeah, that'll make you think twice for sure. Did you put that gun down right away?
Oh yeah. Never used a staple gun since.
Even now, you don't own one.
No, but dude, this reminds me, things would get really serious with our backyard leagues. We had this guy on our roster named Jay Atticus, and he was like real into like hip hop and stuff, and he thought he was thug and all that. And he was like a white guy like me or you. But he had pissed off this kid at our high school who was an amateur wrestler, like a real bad dude. And this, you'll have to forgive me, I have no names for this, but the amateur wrestler hears about our backyard league. And he's like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up at one of these things and just be real cool. This kid was psychotic. He was so cool with all of us, this amateur wrestler from the high school. And he's getting to know everybody. He's like, yeah, I love pro wrestling. And he asks to practice with the guy I was just talking about, this Jay Atticus guy, who's this, he pisses off all of us. He's just this asshole kid. But we've never tried to legit fight him. But now there's this amateur wrestler who's gunning for him, and I don't know about it.
And what happens?
Well, Jay Atticus, he's like, yeah, man, I'll spar with you or whatever the hell. And the amateur wrestler, takes him down. Puts him in an arm bar, snaps his arm in front of all of us.
Actually snaps it.
His arm's dangling, brother.
Oh, shit.
And then he just cuts the shit. He's like, yeah, I fucked you up, didn't I? Didn't I say I was going to do that? And
Jesus, no remorse.
I was like, wait, who invited this kid? I didn't invite him.
He's a savage.
Dude.
So he snaps his arm and gets up and then acts like that.
Gets up, walks off.
What happened to the kid with the arm who's now dangling? Is that hurt?
We had to call his dad. His dad had to come and get him, take him to the hospital.
I wonder if how much that hurts. Does he in a lot of pain or?
Oh, he the second that he broke his arm, he started screaming bloody murder. It looked intensely painful.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. It just reminds me of, I've seen like a lot of those botchamania videos of people just snapping limbs or was it? Oh, it wasn't Kevin Nash. It was Sid Vicious, wasn't it? That snapped his leg jumping off the top rope.
A top rope big boot he tried to do.
Dude,
what an idiot!
His size doing that shit. His leg snapping. Oh, just thinking about it makes me cringe. It's just
he even says in a shoot interview, he told the guy, "No, I don't want to do that," and they promised him it'll be fine. What's the worst?
It'll be fine. Dude, that guy's way too big to be doing anything like that. Landing on one leg. No.
Yeah, I never saw any like major injuries like that in the backyard other than this situation. Actually, real quick, I was on the top of the monkey bars fighting with this guy who was in the picture.
And this was a match?
Yeah.
So which one would this be?
The guy off to the left there, his name was Matt Fearsome. And we would go to this elementary school in the evening, and we would have our matches on the playground. And we were doing a back and forth punch spot on top. We're elevated. We're on top of these monkey bars. And for some reason, I shoved him. After we got done throwing punches with each other, he ends up falling off the monkey bars and lands with his arm kind of tucked behind his back.
Ooh.
So he has the thud. The initial landing happens. His arm's behind his back. He stands up, looks at me, and just raises his arm. And he's like, my arm feels so funny. And the second that he finishes that sentence, his arm just dangles in front of me. No. I was like, God.
That's so fucked up.
But
guys were that was a match between you guys?
Yeah, we were having a backyard wrestling match in front of nobody. Just me
That's
and
why
him.
they say don't try this at home.
Yeah.
Because of shit like that right there. So what was his reaction to his arm just dangling in front of him?
Shock, I would say. Yeah.
But not pain?
No, it wasn't really a pain thing. He was more like a eyes wide, holy shit, I need to get to the hospital.
Oh, I bet. So his arm just like got popped out of place. Is that what happened?
No, it was his forearm.
Oh no.
Because that was, he landed with his arm tucked behind his back. It was his forearm that was broken right in the center.
Oh God, that's awful.
Yeah. And it left a gnarly scar. And I remember him having a lot of issues whenever it was cold outside after that.
Okay, that's random.
Just
wonder what causes that.
Some healthy tidbits if you ever break your arm. You're not going to have very good winners after that.
Yeah, we never tried any backyard matches on the monkey bars. That's pretty bold.
Smart kid, man. Smart kid.
What else we got? Any other stories?
Oh, yeah, plenty of them. So seeing as how we're in the final 30-minute stretch, I'll go ahead and get the ending. We'll try to get some ending of the Backyard Days stories out of the way. For my farewell show. So before the farewell show, the reason why we're having a farewell show is because I stopped going to high school and I started skipping school every day, going to another one of the backyarders' house. I would just sleep in his house all day and then go home like I went to school. My mom thought I was going to school. And she gets a phone call, and this is around the time that parents are starting to get in trouble for their kids not going to school. Do you remember whenever that started happening?
Yeah, because parents, it was like on them to be responsible for us showing up or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember that time. Yeah, it used to be much easier to get away with not going to school.
Yeah, you'll get a ticket, and it was kind of around the time that started. And my high school presented to my mom, presented to me a military school for me to obtain my GED.
Wait, so the high school recommended this?
The high school recommended that.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know high schools could recommend that.
Well, my GPA was like a 0.03, something like that. Cause I would go to health class. I really enjoyed health class.
And why is that? What about health class really sucked you in?
It wasn't a serious subject and the kids were kind of unruly in that class. I would literally walk to school at around 11 o'clock in the morning, take that class, and then go home. Walk home afterwards.
And so tell me about the GPA thing with the 0. whatever. Would you say 0.3?
Yeah, like it was like a 0.03. I literally just went to health class.
Okay, so this is because you just weren't showing up to classes. That's
I hated school. I absolutely hated school.
And was there reasons? Did something happen?
I didn't really have any friends at the school I was going to. All of my friends were backyard wrestlers or interested in wrestling. And by the time high school came, I wasn't in touch. I didn't go to school with any of my backyard wrestling friends. So it really lost all my interest.
And like what grade would you say that started where you lost interest?
Well, I mean, I failed 8th grade. So I had to go to summer school that year. And then I failed summer school because I wasn't doing the work.
I remember going to summer school at least 2 or 3 years in a row. Just because I wasn't doing well in my classes. I wasn't applying. And it really wasn't because I wasn't good. I just, really wasn't trying. I didn't give a crap. But so like with you, was it kind of similar situation? Did you just
never
not try,
applied.
not care? Okay.
Yeah.
Was there ever a period where like you did really well in school, like middle school, elementary school?
Maybe not ever.
Maybe never. Maybe never. I wasn't sure if there was like a period or like, okay, well now I'm done with school. I wasn't sure if there was like a time where that started or not.
No, I was always the class clown, and I've always kind of had I've always been the guy that likes to make people laugh, and that was totally me.
There's nothing wrong with that though, making people laugh.
Yeah. it's just you put somebody in that structured environment, it's not going to work for everybody. I hated it.
I hate it. Well, I couldn't wait for school to be over as well. I thought it was a waste of time for the most part. Hell, most of what they teach you, especially in high school, isn't even like preparing you for the real world. Like they don't teach you about taxes or how to balance a checkbook. Well, I guess it doesn't matter so much anymore because things are
Yeah.
digital. But they don't teach you like any of the stuff you truly need to know to succeed in life. Um, so would you say that like looking back on that time on school, would you have done it differently, or do you not care because it's
Oh,
over? Like, how do you look on that?
I think that I would have took more chances in high school. I think that I would have fucked around more. I think that I would have did more social experiments, I guess, in high school. I like messing with people, like I liked making people believe things that that weren't true, which kind of explains why I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
you
Perfect
know,
profession.
I thought it was interesting getting a rise out of people. I think I would have really tried to break out of my shell a little bit whenever I was in high school and kind of try to be more outgoing.
Yeah. So did you what grade then was this that your school was recommending?
Ninth grade. I spent 3 years
Ninth grade.
in ninth grade. Um,
So that would have been freshman year then. Yeah.
Year after year would come and I just wouldn't go. And I was, whenever school was supposed to be happening, I was hanging out with my backyard friends. I was,
Now,
just
did your
hanging out.
mom know this at the time, or she was
No,
not aware that you weren't at school? Okay, so she thought you were going to school and you were doing something else.
yeah, she didn't even know that I was in ninth grade for 3 years in a row.
Oh, really?
No,
So she just
she kept
would you
zero
fake
tabs.
report cards, or like how did you fake this?
She kept zero tabs on me.
Huh? And does she regret that now, or did she?
No,
No.
I've had some conversations with my mom in my adult life about my childhood and, and ask questions and stuff like that. Here's how I look at it. My mom did the very best she could. She had to raise 3 kids by herself and she was dealt some shitty cards along the way.
Yeah.
She did the best she could, but she kind of cut the cord off of me around the time that my dad died. I kind of started I got to hang out with my friends all the time,
You definitely
after.
had a lot of leeway, a lot of slack, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, what did your mom think of this idea, the suggestion for military school
Oh,
when
she
she
loved it.
first thought it?
She
Right
knew that.
away?
Well, yeah, she knew that I wasn't going to graduate high school like my brother and thought that the next best thing is to go to a military school for your GED.
And what did you think of this idea? Your first impression?
Right before all this happened, there was a backyard wrestling league in Maryland. So I grew up in West Virginia, the state over in Maryland. Uh, I had gotten some connections to a different backyard league, and they had bought a professional wrestling ring from highspots.com. And I'm
Okay.
still very much so backyard wrestling at this time. And now is my first opportunity to get into a professional wrestling ring and see what I can do.
All right, so you got an opportunity like that you're chomping at the bit at to finally take wrestling more serious, get out of the backyard, maybe do some real training. And so that's what you have your mindset on at this time.
Bada bing, bada boom. And one of the guys who are wrestling in this league with the wrestling ring is a guy by the name of Crazy Shay, who I had paid a ticket to see at a different independent league. So you have a guy who's getting booked on independent leagues, and he was training us. He was teaching us how to hit the ropes,
Oh,
teaching us
so you
how
had
to
already
bump.
started this training. Wow.
Boom.
Okay, cool.
That was my first training in pro wrestling was in 2005 under Crazy Shay. And he was, because if you're going to be a pro wrestler and make all these dates and stuff like that, if you are going to take that step back and go into the backyard with only backyard wrestlers, I think that the only right thing to do is to help these kids not hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Which is what he did.
That's good. Yeah. Good that you had someone looking out like that.
And he was
So
only a couple years older than us too. So
that's cool. So did your mom know about this training that you were getting into this or no?
She did. Yeah. She knew about it. We had to, it was me and another older friend of mine. I was 17 at the time, and I had a 18-year-old friend who was a backyard wrestler, and he'd take his dad's car, and a car full of us would go up to these shows every weekend. We taped 2 shows in one day every time. So I'm wrestling in a ring, in a match in a ring twice in one day, weekend after weekend, for about 2 months before I'm sent away.
Did you ever talk to your mom about this opportunity? How you would rather do that instead? Was there ever discussions about this, or it was really not in your control at all to talk about, to negotiate?
I immediately found peace with it. The second that,
Really?
yeah, the second that she said, "Listen, there's a military school," gears start running in my head, and I'm like, I was a mama's boy too. So if this is something that my mom thinks is going to be good for me, I'm going to go for it. You know, I'm
Okay,
super against drugs, super against alcohol.
that's good. That's positive.
Yeah, and I'm just hanging out with my friends on the weekends and stuff, and I realized that that can't be my life forever, and I need to do
So you
something.
you start to see it as an opportunity then to maybe turn something around.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gung ho like, yes, send me today.
Can't wait. Can't wait, brother.
But I mean, because you're taking somebody who is, since they've been 6, 7 years old, been watching this shit. Now they've been doing it for a little while. Now they're in a ring doing it. You're taking them away from this.
So when you were starting to do this training, did you have an inkling that this is going to be it for you? That's what you want to pursue?
There was no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. But you knew that you were going to be taking this detour through military school.
Yeah. And had never felt closer with my friends at this point. I mean, we were like a family. I was staying the night with these people all the time. I was rarely ever home. So to be taken away from it, it was pretty damn tough, which led to the my backyard name, by the way, was Trey Blaylock.
Yeah. Going back to where is it at?
It came
There it
time,
is. The Dynasty.
boom, for the Dynasty Trey Blaylock farewell show.
Oh, damn. There was a farewell show, farewell tour.
We had one more hoorah. I wrestled my best friend Matt Fearsome on this show, and I remember all of the guys being like, they treated it like WrestleMania.
That's cool.
Like
And it was like an ultimate send off, basically.
oh yeah, and so I lived in like half of a house connected to another half of a house. What is that called? A duplex?
Duplex. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. We lived in one of those for years.
And the guy who lived in the other house, in the other duplex, was a kid who was 2 years younger than me, named Cody, and he really looked up to me and my other friends, and we really guided him down the right path and everything. He didn't get into drugs and alcohol. He backyard wrestled with us. We were all very against drugs and alcohol, so we never drank.
That's pretty badass. That's usually
Yeah.
against the norm, actually.
Oh, a lot of kids in this area, they start their drinking at about 14, 15 or younger.
And so for you, which I imagine we'll get into in a later episode when we actually talk about alcoholism, but do you want to briefly say why you were so against it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my dad was an alcoholic through and through, like hardcore.
Mine as well, man. I know. It's tough.
I never saw anything whenever I'd never seen my dad drunk. He did a very good job of hiding that from me when I was a kid. But like I said earlier in the episode, my parents got a divorce when I was 7 years old. So there's a lot of things I don't remember.
Yeah.
But the reason why they got a divorce is because my dad's drinking was just getting too chaotic. And it was to a point where we had to sever ties and all that. And
Yeah.
I remember visiting my dad in the hospital. He was on his deathbed, and my mom was kind of giving me that talk. Hey, this could be the last time you see your dad. So,
Wow.
and I was 8 years old, and I saw him strapped up to all these machines, and I was like, damn. And my mom was very clear. She was like, Travis, this is from drinking. And I was like, I get it. I get it.
Really? Wow.
Like, this is very eye-opening for a for an 8-year-old, you know. I get it. It's from drinking. Alcohol's bad. Got it.
Noted. Yeah.
So.
And we will touch on more stories and when we get into our episode about alcoholism and divorce later.
And listen,
season.
I got a lot of offers to drink growing up, but I always had that pride in my heart. I knew I was going to be a wrestler one day, so I didn't want to fuck it up.
That's good, man. Yeah, I didn't drink either growing up. Not until I was like 21, actually. That's when I really started drinking.
It was around the time I started as well.
Well, we're on the same path, it seems, at least in terms of that.
But the key story from this farewell show that we had was Cody, the one who lived next to me, looked up to me and all my friends. He decided that this was going to be the night that he upped the ante and became like the rest of us. Because for a long time, he was the youngest guy on the roster, not really involved in too much serious stuff, just happy to be there. But he was like, fuck that. I'm just like them. I think he's like 14. And he's like, tonight I'm gigging.
Did you get the first time? You guys have never done that before?
A couple of the other guys had at this point. I had tried once. I did not like it.
Were you scared?
And guys, this is an insider term for anybody at home that doesn't know what gigging is. In the professional wrestling industry, is whenever you take
to expose the business. You're exposing the business.
Who exposed it first, me or Terry Funk? I don't remember.
Okay. Go ahead.
But you take this blade and you hide it on you, or the ref might have it, and you take it, and usually it's got tape on it or something like that, so it's not like just a naked blade. Little bit of a sharp piece of the blade is out, and you drag it across your hairline to cut yourself open, and that is how you gig.
Yeah, and it makes the match more dramatic, right?
Yes, and this 14-year-old sweet young boy, not a care in the world, this God-loving, church-going boy, who just so happens to backyard wrestle on the weekends with his buddies, decided he was going to gig one night.
And it's in your match, right?
Nah, he's wrestling another guy. Who was another one of my good friends growing up. Well, point of the story is it's now time for Cody to gig. He drags the blade across his forehead and goes from temple to temple.
No, this guy's so stupid. Wow.
Deep.
Oh, couldn't you kill yourself? Isn't there like an artery somewhere there?
You can. And
I don't know.
Brother, this kid, Cody, God love him. 14 years old.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah, never really experienced much in his life at all. Is now bleeding like a stuck pig in my backyard.
Oh my God. And was it a horror site, like a horror show? It was scary looking or what?
They wrestled for like another minute or two, and then they took it home.
Jeez.
Kept going, man. 14-year-old kid.
So what was the because how they gig and then someone will hit you with a steel chair or something. So what was the move that made him bleed that much?
That really escapes my memory. That's a good question.
I wonder what weapon or whatever would even cause that much of a gash in someone's head.
The popular things for headshots at the time, for us at least, was a stop sign, because we actually had a legitimate stop sign that we had to take a screwdriver and get it off the fucking pole.
I bet that's the only way you get a stop sign. So,
they're huge too. Have you ever seen
they are pretty big. Yeah, I have. Yeah, they're huge. They don't look that huge from far away, but in hand, they're pretty big.
Yeah. So it's probably something along those lines. I remember that.
You have to go to the hospital then? Like what?
Oh yeah. Immediately.
Oh yeah. Immediately.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He's still alive to tell the tale, right?
Subsequently, that was his last backyard match, and he never went pro.
Wow. Did that scare him, or like what? Or he just happened to stop?
From my memory, he was proud of it. He felt like he was one of the boys.
Well, okay, well, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah. And the last backyard story I will tell before we take it home is
take it home, brother.
is the moment that I was attacked by a live pit bull.
Oh, damn. During a match?
During a match.
Whose pit bull was it?
It was the owner of the yard. It was
Owner
Jay Atticus, the guy who got
backyard.
his arm broken.
Oh, Jay Atticus, this guy again. He's back.
Yeah. This is actually after that horror deal happened. So at this point, we're looking for a backyard. We're doing backyard wrestling in a lot of different yards, girlfriends' houses, wherever we can. And this guy, Jay Atticus, who had his arm broken just the year before by an amateur wrestler, is now offering his yard. And so we're like, okay, great. And we go there, and it's a pretty pleasant experience. Nice, big, fenced-in backyard. Perfect for backyard wrestling. But in the back of this yard is a very tall tree with a chain attached to it, and there is a pit bull that is attached to this tree.
And he was out there the whole time during the show, I guess?
Yes, and they did not give two shits about this dog. He never came inside. He was constantly strapped to the tree. Yes.
Oh, that's not cool.
A very angry dog, this dog.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, being strapped outside all damn day and night. Hell yeah. I'd be angry too, wouldn't you?
Brother, I'm going to tell it to you like this. This was like the Mike Tyson of pit bulls. He was jacked.
He was jacked.
All this dog did was just run back and forth all day, hoping somebody would pay attention to him, and nobody ever did.
Did they feed him at least? Like they brought out water or
throw a couple kibbles and bits in a bowl and toss it at the damn dog and get back inside?
Why do they even want it? I mean, this is a side story, of course. But why would they even want a dog? Is my question. Is my thought.
Long story short, this dog's life is dog shit. And now old Travis DuFour is in your yard right in front of you.
Oh, damn.
Now, before I continue, I will take full credit for what happened. You will realize what I'm going at here. There was a Frisbee in the yard, and I walked over to it, and I knowingly picked it up, looked at this pit bull dead in his face, wung it at him.
Trying to hit him or trying to have him catch it? Which one?
Brother, I didn't try to hit him. I hit this fucking dog right in his nose.
Oh, you pissed this motherfucker off.
He stands up. He looks at me, Mike.
Well, I'll bet he's staring you dead in the eyes.
He is now gunning it towards me. I am at a pretty safe distance from the dog. I know that I'm not in the circle that he's made there. You know, there's grass and there's dirt. I know where he's been.
Okay.
I'm not in the dirt. I'm in the grass. This pit bull snaps this motherfucking chain in half.
Oh, he was coming out. He was coming for you. He didn't care.
He is gunning it towards me. First, he grabs a hold of my ankle. I fall to the ground.
Did you have time to panic? Like
this was
running.
This was probably a situation that happened. It's probably the thing that's happened the fastest in my life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So fast. So
didn't even have time to react. Basically,
got me by the ankle. I got dirt in my face. I'm pushing myself back up. I'm trying to get back on my feet. Now, as I'm doing a push-up, I'm starting to rise. This dog has now let go of my ankle, has me by the arm.
No. He's trying to kill you.
He's going for it, man. Pulls me back down on the ground. Now, what he wants is now in his vision. It's in his line of sight. He lets go of my arm and grabs a hold of my neck.
Uh-oh. Oh, man.
He is fully lockjawed on my neck.
Dude, no. Like piercing skin?
Locked. He's in. He's pierced. He's in.
Oh, man. I can't even imagine.
The owner of the dog, Jay Atticus, is standing off to the side in horror watching this all go down.
Watching you basically get murdered by his pit bull.
but he has decided this is his time to step in. So he goes and grabs a baseball bat because he knows his dog. This dog is jacked. It's got his friend by the neck.
The Mike Tyson of dogs.
And now, just listener discretion has been advised at the beginning of this episode. But here goes. He is now beating the dog with the baseball bat.
I mean, he kind of had to, though.
The dog is not letting go.
Dude, this dog's crazy.
He gets about, he hits him kind of fast 2 times. But after he realizes the dog's not going to let go, he really puts everything into his next about 3 shots, 3 more baseball bat shots before this dog finally lets go.
Jesus.
And as graphic as it sounds, I take full responsibility. This is my fucking fault. This should not have happened to this dog. This should not have happened to this dog. I want to say it twice. He continued to hit the dog after it let go. He hit it until it died.
I mean, I don't know about you, but like if he was the dog was literally about to kill you. I mean, no joke. So he kind of sounds like your friend really had no choice but to put the dog down because he was at this point a problem. Like
that was easily the most violent thing he ever saw the dog do.
Yeah. So the dog died that day, right then and there, right?
Yep, dog dies. I get away from the dog. I run away from the backyard out, and now I'm out in the street. And the owner of the dog, Jay Atticus, it's a couple seconds go by because he's taking care of the dog. He comes out in front of his house, and I'm face to face with him. And Jay Atticus is like, turn around so I can see the damage. I turn around, and then I turn around again, and I look at his face. His face goes fully white. He feels like he's seen a ghost.
Oh, dude, is it bad?
He can't believe there's blood dumping out of my neck.
Oh, fuck.
So at this point, me and my best friend, Matt Fearsome, who we saw in the graphic earlier, we walk from this house all the way to my house, about 4 blocks. Just walking on the sidewalk, dude. Blood leaking.
Blood everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're completely alert and talking and
yeah. Yep. We make it to my mom's house, you know, where
pain. Do you remember pain?
No.
Really? I wonder if your body was in such shock that
the adrenaline was really taking control. We get to my mom's house. I walk into the living room. I'm like, Mom, we need to go to the hospital. And she's watching her stories. She's like, what the fuck is he bothering me for? She's like, what? What'd you say? I was like, Mom,
Days of Our Lives is on.
Yeah, General Hospital. I'm like, Mom, we need to go to the hospital, like now. And she just looks up. Boom. I've never seen my mom get up faster. Long story short, the worst part of that whole thing, I didn't cry the whole time. The second that they pulled out the needle at the hospital to numb my neck, tears.
Yeah. Oh, I bet, dude. I hate needles. I hate small needles, let alone a giant one. Like my fiance will back me up that even if like I go in for a flu shot or like anything, I'll freak out. I hate it. But I can't imagine you're getting they'll numb you or whatever.
Yes, it was the numbing needle, and that is to this day the worst pain I've ever felt. Was the numbing
needle.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It felt like somebody was just taking a knife and stabbing me with it.
So you needed a bunch of stitches then, right?
I did. Yep. Got it all closed up. And so I was attacked by a pit bull in a professional wrestling match.
That dog did not go down without a fight, though.
No. But yeah, that was I wanted to make sure I told that pit bull story. And we are going to be wrapping up here, episode 1 from the backyard, fandom to the backyard, I believe.
Yeah, because we're getting into your military stuff, and this is actually you and your military photo right here from military school. But we're gonna get into your actual time at military school the next episode, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but there you are. You don't look too happy. Dude, do not look too happy to be there.
I before that picture was taken, I was literally, I had a drill sergeant get nose to nose with me and scream in my face. I don't remember what the fuck I did to deserve that, but I was not very happy then.
But yeah, I'm excited to talk about that and hear more stories about that, and of course how you got into wrestling and everything next episode. But yeah, that's crazy how your backyard. So that was actually your last backyard wrestling match, was when you got attacked by the pit bull.
No, that wasn't. No,
There was still something after. Okay.
yeah,
But still, like one of your last or whatever. That's a crazy story.
Oh, the scariest thing about the whole thing is that the doctor did say, he said that if the dog's teeth would have sank just a little bit further, I would have been paralyzed from the neck down. But if it would have,
imagine the neck is a very vulnerable area.
if his teeth would have completely like met each other and like clamped, it would have killed me instantly. He was like, you would have just seen black.
Jesus.
You would have been out.
So you were literally this close to dying.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Super close.
That's why.
Do dogs scare you now, or how are you with dogs now?
For the longest time after this, very strong fear around dogs.
Or just pit bulls specifically?
Pit bulls specifically. Any kind of big dog, though, I would never trust. But I made friends with somebody a number of years ago now, and she had 3 pit bulls, and they were total babies, sweethearts. And I realized that it is how you train them, how they are raised.
Yeah, there's definitely friendly pit bulls, but that one didn't sound like it was treated all that well. So that's crazy, man. Crazy story.
Season 1.
Well, at least you're here. You're here, though, brother. At least you're alive to tell the story.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like in season 1 of the Travis DuFour Show, we're gonna hear a couple times about how I've almost died, and these situations have really shaped me to be the guy I am, Mikey.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. We all go through different things, and makes us who we are today, for better or for worse.
And if you've made it this far into the Travis DuFour Show, I want to thank you so much. Be sure to follow all of the social media sites, which is at the DuFour brand. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. And that will, we're going to put a nice little bow on episode 1. Do you have any closing statements, Mike?
No, man, I just want to say it's been fun. Had a few hiccups in the beginning, but it was a lot of fun getting to hear your story about, you becoming a fan, hearing about your dad, and the cool little story about how he, supported you becoming a wrestler. So, I mean, I just thought that was pretty badass with him showing his support. And then all your stories about backyard wrestling. It was just a fun little journey it took us on, and I'm looking forward to what the rest of the season holds for us. And I just appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a good time.
Hell yeah. Couldn't think of a better co-host. The next episode will feature the beginning of my wrestling career to the end, or not the end, where we're at currently. So that's something to look forward to.
Because you haven't hit the end yet. You're not retired just yet.
Not the end, brother. I mean, I'm entering year 16. I still got a little bit left in the tank.
That's good.
All right. Thank you. Now, we are now in after show. Whew, my voice is like,
oh, it feels good to stretch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your comments.
And this is going to be a common theme with the show. This point forward, after the episode, after we're done, we are now going to be open to interacting. If there is anybody here.
No format or anything, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Oh man, so we can actually just shoot the breeze and talk about whatever. We can even talk about our opinions on the show, right? We can. It's a free for all, correct?
Yeah.
Because we're not putting this up anywhere. This is just for the live people.
Yep. I'm gonna edit just the podcast out of there. Yep.
Oh god, my back is stiff as hell.
It just feels good to be able to go ahead and do a project, because the only reason why I say that is about 4 years ago now, I started a Facebook page for this thing I was going to call the DuFour Vlog. And I had trailers for it and everything. And I didn't do shit with that. So that really, like, on a professional level, that really, like, affected me. So to be able to actually do a project and
follow through, basically, right?
Yeah, this feels good.
Because I was even joking with you. I'm just like, I'm not showing up, brother. I'm not going to be there. And you even texted me. You're just like, you were right. You weren't lying. You're not showing up, because I was like 10 minutes late to our before party thing or whatever.
Yeah, the pre-show meeting. Fucking 10
meeting.
minutes late. I was like, damn, this guy was shooting.
Dude, I'm a heel at heart. Always been a heel.
WrestleMania weekend's here. What do you think, man?
I think we're gonna maybe see Cody Rhodes. I keep going back and forth on the Cody thing.
That's the only thing that I can't say that. I want to see what Stone Cold Steve Austin does, but Cody Rhodes has my attention.
They've downplayed what Stone Cold's doing, but I've heard he's in really good shape, and that he might actually do some stuff. Like they might actually be doing more than just an interview and then a stunner at the end.
Dude, I hope we get a Luthez press. I hope we get just classic Austin.
Him stomping in the corner. Yeah, I hope we get just like a few minutes of a glimpse of a Stone Cold match. Just a glimpse of it.
If I was Kevin Owens, I would look dead in Stone Cold's face and I'd be like, brother, kill me out there, because this is never going to happen again on this stage. Kill me out there.
I wonder if this is like a trial for Stone Cold, coming back and doing something like an actual match. Like, I think he's going to take that Saudi Arabia money and do a match there.
Saudi.
I think that this is a trial run to see if he can go in the ring. That's why they're not labeling it a match, because he doesn't want to hype himself up too much. He just wants to see if he can go a little bit. And then he's actually going to do a match in Saudi.
I bet you Saudi's going to dump.
Oh, they will pay out the ass, millions. Whoa. And why wouldn't he take it? Why wouldn't he accept millions of dollars for one match? 10 minutes in the ring. It'd be stupid not to. That's free money.
Yeah. And Stone Cold's he's not a goof. So if he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it for the big paycheck.
But he also is the kind of guy that would take it seriously too. He won't fuck around and just, half-ass it. He wants to, because who would want to ruin their legacy? He went out on top against the Rocket Mania, so
he didn't go out on top.
No. I meant he went on. Right. He went out in a big way, is what I meant to say. I know he didn't win, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally a Stone Cold guy. Whenever I was a kid, brother, there was nothing that would get me more hyped than hearing that glass shatter.
Yeah, when I caught Stone Cold, he was just finishing up. So that match with the Rocket Mania, that last one, was the one that I really saw. And then, of course, most of my memory of him is him being the sheriff of Raw and the co-GM for a while. Do you remember that, where he was like he couldn't touch anybody?
He was on an ATV a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was on ATV. Yeah, so that's a lot of my memories of Stone Cold are actually that, sadly. That's why I said I wish I'd caught the Attitude Era, because it looked like a hell of a time.
Now, my Stone Cold Steve Austin is a part of the reason why some counselors told my mom not to let me watch wrestling anymore. It was the angle of it was this is before your time. Stone Cold Steve Austin was in a feud with The Undertaker. And The Undertaker was very deep into the ministry gimmick. And one night on Monday Night Raw, Undertaker and Paul Bear drugged Austin and knocked him out and took him into this meat locker. And Stone Cold's knocked out on the table. And The Undertaker picks up a pair of scissors and holds it over the top of Austin's chest and starts speaking in tongues. Acts like he's going to murder Stone Cold Steve Austin on live television.
Were you freaking out at all watching this?
It bothered me. The next day, I go to, I was in counseling a lot for the divorce. And I was talking to my counselor, and she noticed something that, something was a little off. And she was like, is there something particular that's bothering you? And I was like, yeah, last night I saw a guy who's dead try to kill Stone Cold Steve Austin with a rusty pair of scissors.
Your wrestling was crazy back in the day.
And yeah, she came straight to my mom and she was like, we psychologically, we think this is bothering him. Like, maybe don't watch it.
Maybe don't. So would you just watch it alone then? Would it just be you watching Raw at that time?
No, me and my brother. Yeah. Wrestling was always on. Me and my brother would watch it. Yeah.
Did you watch SmackDown too?
Oh yeah. You couldn't get me to WWF only.
Oh, of course. No WCW.
No. I went to the my mom worked in a convenience store growing up, and I went in there with her one night, and her coworker was working. This guy, he was a young guy, and he sees me, he sees it. I'm his coworker's son, and he's like, "Hey, little buddy, I hear you like wrestling." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he was like, "You ever heard of ECW?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "That's like really cool wrestling, and like they do cool shit, and it's real hardcore." And brother, this guy smelled like dog shit. He had terrible acne and just a greasy looking guy. And it was at that point I decided I would never watch ECW because people
because
like
of him
watch that shit.
Oh damn, yeah, you don't want to be like him.
No, I was like, I'm not turning out like this guy.
Hell no. What about you for Mania this weekend? You excited? Do you have the Peacock Network or no?
Yeah, I got the Peacock Network. I ended up getting the Peacock Network to watch Halloween, the new Halloween that came out.
Oh, cool.
Just never canceled it. And I don't.
That's usually how it goes. I always forget to cancel those things.
Truth be told, I don't watch WWE anymore, but I will watch
either.
Mania.
Yeah, I figured I might as well give it a shot. Cody might be there. Stone Cold. Got to see what that's about. And the Peacock Network is. I mean, there's Roman versus Brock Lesnar. Edge is wrestling
AJ.
Yeah, AJ.
Okay, that should be good.
Seth Rollins might be wrestling Shane McMahon or Cody Rhodes. Who knows? One of the two.
Go ahead and make your final guess. Who is it?
There's a rumor. I don't know. I guess I'm going to go with Cody. They've been so back and forth on Cody Rhodes, but like I hear one story
trying
like,
to swerve you.
Yeah. On one hand, they put out a story today. Well, it's April Fool's, so you can't trust it. But they put out a story today saying, "Oh, Cody's backed off of wanting to do WrestleMania." I'm just like, isn't WrestleMania this weekend? There's no. He's either signed or he isn't signed. There's no. Oh, never mind, brother. I don't want to do it anymore. It's a little late in the game for that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, hell, the Peacock Network is $5. I'd be stupid not to pay $5 to watch WrestleMania. I mean, used to be back in the day, you had to pay $60.
Yeah. Yeah. And growing up poor, the only pay-per-view we would get was WrestleMania. My mom would get WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think we only got WrestleMania like once or twice. So we pretty much never did pay-per-views.
My favorite WrestleMania was whenever Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled Shawn Michaels with Mike Tyson, Special Enforcer.
Would that have been 16?
I don't know, but it was, in my opinion, now this is before Austin feuded with McMahon, which is probably Austin's height. But dude, Stone Cold Steve Austin could do no wrong for me at this point. And whenever Shawn Michaels, Triple H,
so even before that boss feud with McMahon, he was your guy, right?
Yeah. And then involving Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson is showing up on Raw with DX and shit. I was such a hardcore Austin fan. I was getting so fucking emotional about that match, Austin versus Michaels, and I'll just never forget it. It's probably my favorite match to ever happen, aside from Hogan versus Rock.
Now, do you think wrestling affected like us back then because we were younger and we were kids, or was wrestling just better then?
Knowing what I know now, wrestling was better then.
And because
Randy Orton just said that this week.
Oh, did he really? In an interview?
He just said that there's guys from NXT that come up and they don't know how to wrestle. He said that shit on an interview.
He's so he has no problem being honest.
He was like, back in my day, I didn't have to protect myself as much. These days, I'm covering my face way more. I'm trying to keep all my teeth and not get my jaw fucking broken. Like, he takes a big fat steaming shit on the wrestlers today.
Wow. Do you think he has a point? Do you see his point?
All day. But that is partially the WWE's fault. They fucking killed all competition, created a monopoly, created their own style, and that style sucks. So,
I mean, at least they have competition now with AEW. I mean, it might not be equal yet, but it's pretty close.
17 years after WCW, you know, about time.
TNA tried. They tried to go head to head, and that didn't work out.
So many people shit on TNA, man, but I bought TNA's first pay-per-view. I'm Jeff Jarrett's biggest fucking fan. He's my favorite of all time. I know a lot about TNA. Like, I watched it. I don't, obviously, Impact Wrestling is an absolute shell of what it used to be. But TNA Wrestling was really dope. Whenever you get to appreciate what they had, Sting, Angle, Joe in his prime, AJ in his prime, all these like killer guys in their prime, TNA had them.
Yeah. Yeah, they were responsible for creating a lot of talent. You know, they don't get enough credit for that. I think it went. Do you think it went off the rails when they brought in Hogan and Bischoff, or when did it go off the rails for you?
Hogan and Bischoff.
And they kill everything they touch.
I remember calling off work the first night that they announced that Impact was moving to Mondays, and I was really hyped, and I watched. I chose TNA for that Monday Night War, and
that war didn't last too long.
I mean, brother, he started involving the Nasty Boys, Bubba the Love Sponge, all these pieces of shit.
Nobody wanted to see that.
No.
They just wanted to get their buddies on TV, basically.
Exactly.
I mean, it probably wouldn't have been so bad if it had just stayed Bischoff and Hogan, and they were only involved a little bit. But it just seemed like they took over. Like
AJ Styles, before they came in, was at one point TNA champion, top of the card. Shortly after Hogan gets there, AJ Styles is the lackey for Ric Flair, the man, pretty much the manager.
That makes no sense. They also had Vince Russo there too.
Oh yeah,
for a time.
I think that Russo catches a lot of shit. Yeah, you know, he probably had a couple dumb ideas, but brother, he had to write so many hours of TV. He did the best he could.
Yeah. Do you think he's partly he should get partial credit for the success of the Monday Night Wars?
Well, I think so. I think he's entitled to it.
Yeah. He certainly thinks so.
I mean, a lot of the, you know, they're always like, yeah, but Vince McMahon was his filter, you know, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. Bruce Pritchard constantly speaks about that. Yeah.
Either way, Russo was there. He was working with characters. He was building angles. He was doing the job. Is my mute button working?
Yeah. No, I hear every single cough. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because there was a couple times during the actual podcast that I was hoping that my mute button was working.
Dude, now that we're still live, but now that we're not doing the actual show right now, I could not tell you. There was a reason why the first like 30 minutes I was flustered and like having trouble replying to you. I was so fucking mad that my camera was just automatically turning off. And then I fixed that problem. So I fixed the automatic shut off because it would just turn off automatically after like 3 minutes every time. And once I fixed that, I noticed there was some like details on the screen. Like it was showing some like chart graph thing and some other stuff, some like stats for my camera on. So then I tried to fix that. And then I couldn't even get the camera back on the rest of the time. I'm actually using my MacBook, which is fine. But I couldn't even get it back on. So like, I couldn't even get it turned back on. So I was so pissed that by the time I put on my MacBook camera, I was having trouble just communicating because I just wanted to I almost wanted to be like, can we just stop and start over? Like, let's just start over.
Yeah, that was a good test for me too.
But I was just like, fuck it, we're live. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like Vince McMahon says, nothing can go wrong if you're live.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, fuck it. I got a MacBook camera. It's not the best angle because it's more of the side than this one would have been, but at least it's a camera. I'll have to work that kink out for next time.
Put that motherfucker on a crucifix on live TV. Oh, I wish I would have put it over to the comments a little quicker. We actually did have comments in here.
Love you, DuFour. Do you know who Legendary Stash is?
That's my tag partner, Tyler Caton.
Nice. I know who Nick Sin is, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but dude, could you tell I was pissed though at one point, or not pissed? Maybe. Yeah, I was not. I at least try to continue. Like when I turned off my camera, I was trying to like just ask you things and just trying to keep it going. But I was pissed.
Do you think that episode 1's still like usable?
I think that it was rough the first half. My honest feedback, rough. The backyard wrestling part really picked up and got interesting.
Okay.
In my view.
Okay.
And the only thing I would say is we need a better outro because it just ended weird. Like it didn't have like an ending where thank you for listening to the Travis DuFour Show. Tune in next week or watch next week live on Twitch. Maybe you should write down like a sentence or something that you say each week.
Well, I plugged the social media and then I took it home.
Okay. Because I think the last word was like thank you or thanks or something.
Hell yeah, Tyler. You've been here for an hour? Our just to kind of explain it to you, we made a graphic that aired at the beginning of this episode that actually says that we this is just the live airing of us recording our podcast. We don't talk to the peasants while we're fucking
yeah. We don't talk to the marks. No. Just kidding.
He's shooting.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, halfway through the Blade story. Dope, man.
But
thanks for coming.
Yeah, so that's my honest feedback is the first part was rough. The first half, I'd say. Maybe even a little less. Like I think the first 45 minutes were rough.
Here's what I have to say. You're probably right. But I had a great fucking time. I can't wait to do it next week.
Oh no, I did too. But no, you wanted my honest feedback. I was just being honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and be like perfect from start to finish.
I saw nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. I just think, but I'm saying it really picked up. Maybe like a 5-minute countdown to your live.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, we did a count. It wasn't a countdown actually, but we played some music and had the graphic. So
yeah, it turned into a countdown though, didn't it?
Oh yeah. We had a 30-second countdown.
Yep, it turns into a countdown.
So,
yeah, man.
Yeah, everything. Oh, one thing I didn't account. We did not account for this, but so when we just did you with the solo shot, I did not account for you having the right and left. So that's how you started the show, but obviously the podcast, it doesn't matter. It's just audio.
Yeah.
So, and then when I came in.
No, Mike. No, that's fucking unprofessional.
Yeah, we do plan on doing the images. We actually had some, we'll show a few right now, if you don't mind. We'll just go through some of the ones we had. Different ones.
Is that my papa?
And your brother and puppy.
Brother, he said one time that he was going to go pick up some milk, and that was the last time, brother.
He's on vacation.
He said, I'm going to pick you up some skim.
Wait, it honestly looks like you're crying in the second one. I didn't notice that while we were live.
Do you think I was, Mike? You think I fucking cried a lot?
I think you cried like a little bitch in that photo.
Oh my God.
Because you're a fucking bitch boy.
That's an old school term.
Bitch boy.
I just call
you look pissed. You're like, it's Christmas and I'm pissed.
Yeah, I'm holding a gun.
Oh shit. I'm gonna kill you.
I wanted to be motherfucking New Jack. Dude, absolutely. Tyler, if you want to do any kind of work without compensation, bro, by all means, please.
Some photos from the backyard days. I don't know if he caught those, but showed a few images from that.
No limit. And that is me with sparklers in front of me.
Nice. And then he already said he saw the military school one.
That's right.
But yep. We did do those through the thing. Oh, and one thing that we should get better at, that would be helpful for me, is we need in the notes itself, in parentheses, like photo 1, photo 2. Just
I tried.
Well, no, I know you couldn't edit it for this time, but I'm saying for our next one, we'll make sure we can edit that, because that was what I was having trouble with, was what cue to bring up which photo. Like,
I think that the pictures worked out well.
Because I think one time you were just like, oh, I think you have a photo. And I'm just like, oh yeah, photo.
Did I do that? Fuck.
You called me out a couple of times for not having the photo ready.
I don't want to do that.
Also, if you click on brand, I'll show you you can do it yourself at any point. Click on brand.
We don't use OBS, Tyler. We use StreamYard.
StreamYard, yeah.
So you'll have to get creative with it. I don't know if we can use transitions on StreamYard.
I don't think that, I'll have to look into it, but I don't think that's a thing. But I mean, it's just, if you look on the news, they just do that basically, jump from slide to slide typically. I mean, maybe we'll look into it and see if there are any things we can do for that. We could actually make each photo a video and then have it be like a video that transitions in, transitions out, but that'll just take more time to do each of those.
That's what I was thinking too.
But so if you click on brand for me and then scroll to the section called overlay.
Brand overlay.
And then you can click on any of those photos and bring anyone up yourself. So just click on a photo.
Okay. This one is my favorite.
Yeah, so actually in the future, if that helps, where you could just click on your own photos, that's cool too. Like, I don't mind that.
Dope. And I can add as well. I probably shouldn't do that. You should probably be adding them, huh?
Yeah, I mean, because I have to do them in graphic style because I did the background behind them.
Yeah. Yep.
But I like how this graphic turned out, though. Just simple, but works.
So we
yeah, I like it though. I don't want you to take my feedback that I said about it was rough in the first half as I had a great time. So I want to make that clear. I had a great time. I had fun. Looking forward to doing more of these. I just think we found our groove about halfway through. Is what I think. And
couldn't
I'm hoping
agree more.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that the next few episodes get smoother and smoother. I mean, it can only get smoother.
I'm looking into that now to see if you can use transition. That starting image is really nice looking. Thanks, man. Appreciate that, Tyler. I've always appreciated your honesty.
Thank you very much for your comment. Well, you give them a little rope and then they show their true colors.
Why don't you use that voice on my show?
What, the one I just did? You want me to do voices on the show?
Just, talk like you're from Chicago.
I am from Chicago, man. You give him a little rope. Maybe no, maybe don't. Maybe don't do that.
But yeah, man, let's go ahead and take it home.
Well, technically, we don't have to take anything home. We're just doing a live after it. It's just an after show. It's a party.
We just hit it in broadcast. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to. I guess.
Thank you very much. You want to end it now, then?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in. Oh, look at this. Let's bring up this.
Hey, read that latest comment.
You're one of the best people I've ever met in a microphone and communication in general. So I think retaining viewers will be easy for you. That's very nice, Trey. Isn't that nice of him to say that about me?
Did you hear that, Mike? No, he was talking about me.
I know he was talking about you.
I knew that you knew.
Of course. It's the Travis DuFour Show. It's not the Mike Yatsko Show.
And that's
right, man. It's been fun, right?
Just to put you over, dude. My name is all over this shit, and you didn't have to go gung ho because you made all the graphics. You did a lot of work for this show, and I want to make sure publicly that I thank you, and I'm very appreciative of everything that you've done.
Yeah, no problem, man. It was fun. It's been fun planning it and getting it all ready to go on air. So
Hell yeah.
hopefully it's a good season.
Can't wait for episode 2. Episode 2, reminder, will be the professional wrestling career of Travis DuFour, beginning to now.
We'll be picking up with your military school, your time in military school, and maybe some stories there and how you got back into wrestling and all that.
That's
so yeah,
right.
man. Thanks for watching the after show, everybody. That's it. We're going off. That's
Bye,
it.
guys.
Peace.
See
Dig
ya.
it, daddy.